Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, the Over-the-Top Designs 200 for round 13 here at Rockingham. I'm Terry Radford, that's Ian Fisher, our producer Zach Johnson down there, and Ian, it's the Rock for a reason. This is one of the most famed tracks across the NASCAR series. Hadn't been used in a while, but obviously on iRacing we're able to use it. A lot of drivers putting some laps down in practice. We saw upwards of 150. What do you expect here tonight?
Well, you said it, Terry. One of the more classic NASCAR tracks, and hasn't been used in a while in the NASCAR circuit, but I actually saw a news story today where I think they're talking about repaving it and possibly getting it ready for NASCAR here soon in the next couple of years. But I think we'll see a race that we haven't seen before this season, which is going to be a race where tire wear becomes a factor. We already know this track is known for its abrasive track surface, so I think we'll see drivers going through tires more than we have this season so far. So it'll be cool to see that. Also, it's just a very unique track, so it'll be neat to see how these drivers attack it, and if anybody can stand out and give Ted Wade a run for his money tonight.
Yeah, that'll be the very interesting one. Currently, right now, he sits on the provisional pole, not by a whole lot. He's only up by about a tenth, or about 100th of a second. He sets himself up. Obviously, we talked about this being a famed racetrack. Opened in 1965. It's a little bit over a mile. It's 1.017 miles, so just an extra 100th there on it. But you see the bankings of the turn at 12 degrees, and the straights are also banked at 2 degrees. So the tire wear is pretty much going to be a thing all race long, with the steering wheel a little bit canted. But qualifying's close to wrapping up here. No surprise with Ted Wade up front, but he's got Michael McKinnon and Hunter Parsons right there behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of their names you see up there in the top 10. We'll obviously take a look at our grid here in just a second, but Justin Lumpkin stands out. Keith Bradley, our winner from last week, Blake Lothian, Chris Cinnamon, Tyler Dittmer. So a lot of big notable names there in the top 10, Terry. We're getting closer to the playoffs, so if you're looking at one of these drivers here at the next couple of races and you're still looking to get a win, you're running out of time here before we get to Michigan and before we start our playoffs here. I believe this is the 26th car on your screen of Cody Knott going out there trying to get a last-second qualifying run-in the Team Watson Racing. I believe that's a Toyota there, Terry. You can probably see a little bit better than I can.
Yeah, he's got the Toyota going on here. We got 2 minutes left in qualifying, and his line, he kind of sit there on the bottom of the racetrack trying to warm them up just a tad bit, maybe scrub a little bit of the tires to get him going, but he rides the middle lane. That's predominantly where you want to see here at Rockingham. But I look back at our schedule from the season, and kind of what stood out to me here is Ted Wade wins Darlington, and then we went to Hickory on September 23rd, and Stephen Thomas wins that race. So two very famed tracks, and it kind of shook it up, but that lap right there for Cody Knott, that puts him P30. Now he's going to go kind of sweep these corners, go a little bit lower, see what he can do down the back straightaway.
And I do think this is one of those tracks, Terry, where you want to get all the momentum you can in your first lap, and then your second lap is really your flying lap here. So as he comes back across the stripe, we'll see if there's any improvement here for the 26 machine. He's going to move up one spot at least, Terry, so a little bit of improvement there. But yeah, I think for most of these drivers with qualifying, your first lap, you're really just building up the momentum, and then the second lap is your flyer.
We'll take a look here at the NASRA Truck Series point standings as they currently run here at the moment. We'll pull it up on the screen. You see Ted Wade, obviously 4 wins here this year. You got a couple winners that are new there, but you see Jacob back there plus 126. We can almost say that he's guaranteed in, but you look back here at Adam Newbert, and a little bit down, you got Cody Knott right there. He's not going to have the best starting spot. What jumps off the page to you, Ian, as we go into one of the tougher racetracks on the schedule?
Keith Haney really stands out to me. He's had a lot of solid runs so far this season. Really just haven't been able to put everything together and get himself in victory lane. So I'd be looking for him over the next couple of races to really try to get there. I would say another one as well. Taylor Peacock won our opening round non-points race from Daytona. So really just looking to get on the board here with a points win and hanging out there right by the cut line. I think Jose Luis Rivera, Cody Knott, those guys are definitely going to be battling it out on points. Maybe not race winners so far this season. But I think we'll see him right by that cut line all the way to the end.
Well, if I am reading this correct, that puts Jose back there in the 25th position, so not a very good starting spot here this afternoon. Qualifying just wrapped up. We're starting to put the grid on pit road, getting ready to start this race here. It is 200 laps. Stage 1 will end at lap 50. Stage 2 ends at lap 100. Custom fixed setups, 4 sets of tires, and 100% fuel with no fast repairs here this afternoon. But here in just a moment, we'll roll the starting grid off for everybody at home to see. And we're going to get ready for a really good race at Rockingham. Let me see row 1 right here. I'm sorry. Row 1 right here, you got Ted Wade with Michael McKinnon on his outside. Row 2 got Hunter Parsons and Stephen Thomas. Row 3, Justin Lumpkins and Robert Richards. Out there in row 4, Keith Bradley and Blake Lothian. And rounding out your top 10, Chris Cinnamon and Tyler Dittmer.
In the 11th spot, you'll have Joey Doucette, and joining him on the outside of row number 6 will be the 99 truck of Devin Painter. Row number 7 is Keith Haney, winless so far this season, and Brady LaBeouf with 1 win on the season in row 7. Row number 8 will find Jacob Klinghardt on the inside, and then 5 machine with Tim Hammond on the outside in the 93 Chevy. Jason Morales in the 6, James Morris in the 47 make up row number 9 with a Ford machine on the outside. And Zachary Hartrick in the 24 and Adam Newber in the 4 will round out your top 20, Terry.
Here we go back here to 21st starting position. You got Jerry Nadeau. Adam Cantwell is going to be outside of him on row 11. Row 12, we're going to see Brian Abbott and Eric Zimmerman. Go back here to row 13. Jose Rivera, a guy trying to get into the playoffs here, is going to start on the inside of Trey Pitts. Got Taylor Peacock back there in 27th with Stephen Gregory. Row 15, Cody Knott and Kyle Hess. And I believe we're in the guys that kind of put just a little bit slower time there. Row 16, you got Christopher Blanchard and Derek Kilgore. Brandon Bullock and Huck Wigington. I think I said that one right. James Haney and TJ Moore. Should be the last starter with Clint Mata. Will round out your 37 truck field around this beautiful 1 mile racetrack. Ian, I'm going to put you on the spot. Pick a winner.
I'm just going to say Ted Wade because that's always the same bet. So, starting on pole. He always, to be serious here for a second, he's starting on pole, Terry. He always excels at tracks that are a little bit, I would say, different. Places like Pocono, Martinsville, Sonoma come to mind. Rockingham, definitely unique racetrack. So he leads the field here tonight. He chose the outside row for the restart. Looking to him to make some noise here going into the playoffs.
Well, that is your Pulse Popper Pole Award winner. So that's good for him. And I hear my mother's out there watching. My mother, Tammy, her birthday is tomorrow. So happy birthday to my mother out there. Thanks for tuning in to the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. And the Pace Truck is going to pull down pit lane for the first time here this afternoon. Ted Wade leads them to the green flag, and we're underway. Oh, he spins them.
Yeah, big spin of the tires from the 2 truck there.
He spun up, check up all the way through the back. You got 3 wide a little further on in the end. You got Michael McKinnon. He's going to take the lead on the bottom, but Ted Wade is going to get a run to the outside. Not going to be able to make it 6 to get past that 13. He'll cross up, go down to the bottom at Kellogg's Cornflakes machine, trying to make it work there.
And Ted Wade really loose off of 4, and they're fighting it so far. We mentioned how difficult it is to be for these drivers here at Rockingham. A very abrasive, rough surface. Really hard for these trucks to find grip pretty much anywhere on this racetrack, Terry. You can see even Ted Wade struggling early here.
Well, let's kind of talk about that for a second. What makes these cars, our trucks, mind you, when you go to get on the throttle here at a track like this, especially on the opening restart, to spin those tires the way that they do?
Well, at least on the restart, you're just trying to get through the gears as quickly as you possibly can, and you're just a little bit too hard on the loud pedal there. And so you're causing the tires to spin off the initial restart. As far as the corners, I think you just have so much wheel input here at Rockingham, especially with the relatively low amount of banking that we have. That's why you're seeing guys kind of losing and coming off the corner, just trying to get back to the gas too early with too much wheel input in there, Terry.
Well, you're seeing a ton of drivers go 2 by 2, some running the outside, some running the bottom. We're right up here. Went a little bit far up. We'll see who we're riding on, what we're looking at here. Is they're 2 wide behind them. I believe that is the 5 of Klingenhardt. They're starting to wreck in the back. 1 gets turned, goes into the wall. That's the 6, I do believe. That's Morales. He checks up the field greatly, and now you got the 95 starting to work his way up here. All of these drivers hunting for spots. You got the 9 jumping to the outside. That's LaBeouf. And that almost became the big one at Rockingham.
Yeah, but we stay green here, and that's kind of a hallmark of racing here in the NASRA Triple M Pulley Truck Series. Terry is, unless someone's really turned around or spun around, you don't really see the yellow flag come out. So it leads to some interesting shakeup of the field sometime there. You saw Morales getting a little bit loose there and almost collecting LaBeouf. Really shook up this pack about 15th on back.
Well, you almost jinxed our leader at the moment, Ted Wade, on the initial start. As he goes, that driver right there goes into the wall. I believe that would be the 24. We take a look at this leader. You picked him off the initial jump, and then he spins his tires. But that's scary. Now caution's out. I believe that's the 92 or the 93, mind you. It all looks, the numbers look weird there. In the wall hard, and now caution number 1 comes out on the speedway.
Yeah, I believe that's the 93 of Tim Hammond, but yeah, I don't blame you, Terry. It's a blue number on a blue car, so it's a little bit hard to see from our vantage point here.
Yeah, my eyes aren't that good anymore. But we'll take a look at the replay here and kind of walk through what happens.
It's coming off a 2.
Oh.
Yep. I think a little bit of getting loose there, and then 2 guys just going for the same piece of real estate there.
Well, that always sounds fun. Sounds like me at Vegas this week. But the 5 comes up, just not clear. Gets up right in front, and hard contact into the wall to the outside and the inside barrier there. And that's a tough break so far for that 93 machine of Tim Hammond. Now he's going to have to go down pit lane. No fast repairs here in the Triple M pull-in series. So it's going to have an uphill battle. But hey, it's still Rockingham. Anything could happen. He gets back on track. He gets a valuable points.
Yeah, Tim Hammond didn't do anything wrong there, Terry. I think just the 5 of Jacob Klinghardt was expecting them to be maybe a half lane up the racetrack and wasn't expecting them to be like a half lane off the wall there. And I think actually after what we saw from the second angle, that was kind of the impetus of that whole incident there.
Well, caution number 1 falls on the speedway, and we're not close to the end of stage 1. Obviously, the end of stage 1 ending on lap number 50. Your top 5 still sits Ted Wade, Michael McKinnon, Stephen Thomas, Keith Bradley, and Hunter Parsons. We'll round out this top 5 here. And any takers on pit road? Obviously, we talked about tire wear being a premium. Do you see anybody maybe taking an early stop if you're a little further on in the back?
Maybe not this early unless you have some damage and you want to get, early on repairing it and stuff like that. You might see some guys dip on the pit road there. But I think it's a little bit too early for strategy plays here still. Maybe about lap maybe 25, maybe he's trying to short pit the end of the stage here, because I think a lot of these drivers that are coming at the end of the stage, Terry, tires are going to definitely be a factor. So I think you could probably short pit maybe with a few laps to go on the stage and make some track position up there in the back.
Well, the 78 of Keith Haney, he's going to come down pit road here. He was in the 14th position when the caution flag came over the racetrack. So that's going to set him to the back of the field. Wonder what his strategy is going to be like there as he does come down, along with Tim Hammond, obviously involved in the incident. But this is kind of weird, Ian. I'm not used to being on this side of the call. I'm used to being on your side of the call.
It's fine. You just gotta, in my experience at least, you just gotta talk about things that are happening. So that's fine. And then I just have to come up with silly stuff to say. So that's all you gotta do, really. I mean, we got a long race, right, Terry? So we've got only 10 laps here in this early stint. Not only are tires going to be a factor throughout all the stages, but if we keep going in the yellow flag stints like this and broken race pace here, we're going to have a lot of heat cycles in these tires as well. Not only just the laps on the tires, but the heating and cooling as we're going to go back to 2x2 here. So that's going to be something to watch out for as well. I mean, 4 sets of tires, it does sound like a lot, but you're going to use at least 2 of those for sure. You're going to get in an incident, that's burning another set. And then if we have a green, white checker, that's all 4 of your sets. So you do have to conserve them here a little bit.
Yeah, got to conserve them, but the pace truck guides them around to the back straightaway, 2x2, so the pace lights are out. We will go racing when they come off the exit of turn 4 here. Keith Wade spun the tires on the initial jump of this race. We'll see what he does with the heat cycle on the rears. And this is going to be an interesting restart because track position's always at a premium when you come to a racetrack like this. Passing is a little bit harder and a little bit more of a challenge when you come to a racetrack this abrasive. But the pace truck pulls down, and they're going to come to that restart zone, and we'll take the green flag for the second time here this afternoon. And green flag's back out. Ted Wade's hard on the pedal. No spinning of the tires this time.
No, absolutely not. No spin of the tires this time. Easily able to clear the rest of the field as they head off into turns 1 and 2 here. Kind of bunched up between like second on back through 10th. Looks like we had one driver in the wall there, Terry, but so far so good as they head back into turns 3 and 4.
Keith Bradley jumps to the outside of McKinnon. He's going to make that stick, move him up to P3. You got Thomas to the outside now. McKinnon's kind of a lone duck down there on the bottom. He's got Parsons. He's got Thomas going to work to the outside going into turn 1. McKinnon tries to go up there and cut that bleeding off and get in front, but it's not going to work. He's going to continuously fall. The 48 of Richards, he goes up there. Dittmer's trying to work his way in there. And what's the 13 got to do to find a hole?
And you mentioned the 13 machine right now. McKinnon just kind of pinned down to that bottom line, and it's really kindling his momentum right now. Able to work his way up into the top lane now as Dittmer tries to battle underneath the 48 truck there behind him. Only 15 laps into this race, Terry. It's still battling for position. They know how important track position is going to be, especially as you go farther into the night.
Yeah, track positions get to be at a premium, and now we're starting to see, here comes Dittmer. He works his way up there with a little bit of nose damage on the front of that 34 machine. As Richards, he gets to the outside. He's got Lumpkin breathing down his neck, and then he's got Doucette, Lothian trying to work their way in there. And I wouldn't sleep on Lothian in the 10th place position. Could be an opportunity to race for him to get up there and maybe put a stamp on it and say, hey, I can come up here and contend for this championship too, as we ride on board here. A little bit to the outside of Doucette there. Lothian's doing a great job holding it up there and maybe making that 16 work a little harder than he wants to.
And something that stood out to me so far, Terry, is we are now officially 15 laps into this race, is that nobody really seems to be committing to the bottom of the racetrack, especially in the corners. Everybody wants to run about a lane and a half up. You see here, we're on board with Lothian here. He's running all the way, sometimes all the way up by the wall, running the Kyle Larson line. So interesting so far that nobody's taken the bottom of the racetrack, and maybe we'll see that as the night goes on.
Yeah, we continue to run here. 16 laps on the board. You see the 87 of Lumpkin all the way against the wall right there. He's got the 3 of Cinnamon. He drops down to the low side. And you're right. Nobody's really committing to a line. Everybody's kind of running something different, maybe trying to challenge themselves, seeing where that truck's going to set. We talked about practice to open this race. You had drivers that ran 138, 150 plus laps just trying to get a feel for this place. But the guys who were up front only ran about 50 laps. So still some figuring out that you're going to have to do here. It's a 1 second lead for Wade. You look all the way back there for Bradley. He's got another second gap over Thomas. And then it's a hornet's nest all the way behind Thomas, where everybody is still fighting for position, trying to get the run into the corners.
Yeah, it looks like around 5th place on back, everybody just kind of jostling for position. If you're a driver in 2nd place, like Keith Bradley finds himself right now, you really try to do all you can to catch your teammate's headway to try to put another win on the board. If anybody's going to try to make a run for him once we get into our playoffs, you're going to have to get some wins on the board and try to at least make a chip into some of that dominance we've seen so far out of the 2 camp this season. Right now on your screen, you're looking at the 99 machine of Devin Painter trying to chase down another one of Ted Wade's teammates. That looks like the 3 of Chris Cinnamon so far. Cinnamon with a 1 win at Daytona early, but hasn't been able to do anything to get the truck in the victory lane so far. But like I said, that's mainly because of the dominance of his teammates so far, Terry.
Yeah, the last time I was here, you saw the 99 of Painter. He tried some strategy. Actually had a positive reaction out of it. Ended up getting a top 5 finish there at that race. And now we'll see if he can maybe carry that momentum on as he sits 2 spots outside of the top 10 in the P12 position. He's got LaBeouf all over that back bumper, trying to figure out a way to get around him. And then you look back there in 14th. You got Jerry Nadeau trying to work his way. Real life driver, has driven at this racetrack before, kind of understands what he needs to do to put that truck in a position to win. And that could be a good question here. How much does real life experience at Rockingham kind of play into the sim for somebody who knows what this track's going to do 20, 30, 50 laps down the road?
Let me take a look at the 95 machine on your screen right now, and you mentioned it just kind of hanging out. Finds himself in a good little spot, not really pushing on this group of cars, just trying to figure out what they're doing right now. And you mentioned it, I think some of that real life experience, not only the track, but just general racing experience as we go on board now is helping Jerry a lot, just trying to understand at this juncture in the race, you don't want to push too hard. You see him making a move to the outside of the 87 of Lumpkin here, but I think that was just because of a mistake from the 87 there. But you can't push too hard. Just take these spots as they come to you, and don't burn up your equipment early.
Yeah, the 87 might have caught the wall right there. I know that looked like a Darlington stripe, but Rockingham is kind of very similar to what Darlington has. Two very distinctive corners. You could slip up, catch the wall on the exit here. You could catch the wall on the entry. You see the 9 right there at LaBeouf. He worked his way into the corner, kind of bottomed out just a tad bit, works his way into the wall. As you have a side-by-side battle here, just a little bit further on behind them. These two have been going at it for quite some time, and that's the 4 machine of Newbert. Rivera gets around him, so make that a positive, a very positive game for Rivera, who didn't have the best qualifying there, and he's up 10 positions up to the 15th spot.
And something I've noticed as well, Terry, as we're going to be halfway through our first stage this time around, is the transitions into these corners are very, very bumpy. You'll see the truck kind of just dive in there, and then it takes a few seconds to settle out, and then you can kind of roll the corner. But again, once you're exiting the corner again, you'll see those bumps again. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of the drivers, especially on the exit of the corners, having such an issue getting the power back down without spinning the tires.
That's a very good point. You see the 81 right here trying to make work. That's Peacock. He's going to jump down to the inside of Rivera. He makes that stick, and he's one of the first people we've seen really dive it into the corner, try to be committed and be 100% committed to the bottom side. As Newbert's going to work his way past Rivera as well. And while he was charging early, maybe he did what you said. Maybe he burned up that equipment, and now he's allowing drivers who've just been pacing themselves back here outside the top 15 to work their way up past him now.
And it's always such a catch-22, especially if you find yourself in the mid-pack position, because you don't want to stay back there too long. You don't want to just get stuck where you kind of lull yourself into a false sense of security, and then all of a sudden you look up and the race is over. Another thing that you kind of have to worry about, Terry, when you find yourself hanging back in the pack is that's where incidents usually happen. If you're up towards the front, you don't have to worry about as many problems. When you find yourself back in the pack, you start worrying about what's happening with trucks around you. You see this right here, this battle between Dittmer and Doucette, and then another truck is going to be joining here as well. You just got to put yourself here in these positions where you may not want to be racing this early in the race. And if you're a truck like the 48 of Richards, look at that, Dittmer slips up and you're able to take a position away.
Yeah, contact made right there, and Doucette did nothing wrong there. That's just two drivers going hard at it, but what a very good save for the 34 of Dittmer is now he's going to fall back a lot of positions. He goes back there. He's racing the 99 of Painter, and he's falling into the clutches of LaBeouf, of Lumpkin, of Nadu, of all of these drivers. It's kind of set out this top 10, kind of paced themselves, hasn't really been a force in this race yet. But caution flag comes out, the 17 goes around. He's all by his lonesome, but I would imagine that there was a little help here, Ian.
Yeah, Brandon Bullock spins it around and gets it right in there on the back stretch there. Looks like a little bit of engine damage, so we'll see if they can get that fixed out on pit road here. She'll get a look at what happened here, Terry, and you mentioned it. Maybe you had a little bit of help here. We'll see what happens coming off of turn 2, and I mean, that might have been a little bit of net code there. I know we don't like saying that word, but that might have been a little bit of net code. There is a little bit of a gap there, but yeah, two trucks just coming together in the same spot.
Yeah, kind of. People who are familiar with last night's show kind of looks a little familiar there as the 17 becomes a single truck spin. Just a little bit of a touch, maybe a little bit of the whatever y'all want to call it. And we look right here at the 16 getting into Dittmer. What a save. What an absolute wheelman here at Rockingham.
You see there, he loses about 5 or 6 spots, but it's a wonder that truck didn't end up in the wall.
Well, that shows you that the 34, he's got something for him here this afternoon. Got a little bit of front end damage, but was still able to hold a position up here in the top 5 until obviously we had a little bit of a hanky-panky go on and the 34 goes sideways. But what a save. He's going to come down pit road, obviously, change those tires as he's kind of scorched them. And right in your window of where you said you would see if a caution came out, they would come down pit road and potentially try to overcut the stage.
Yeah, you could come down right now. I think it's still a little bit early, but that is one strategy that you could play. Again, I don't think it's early enough to be talking about fuel mileage, so that's not really what we're concerned about. But tire wear might be a factor here. Again, only 4 sets for these drivers, so do you want to chip into those sets early, Terry? That's really going to be the question.
Yeah, not too sure if I would want to chip into him just yet, because you think you have 2 stage breaks and then you have a guaranteed pit stop in that final stage that you have to make. So they have 1 extra tire set to play with here. Maybe a little early to take it, but if you're Tyler Dittmer, you're already in a situation to where, oh, you've already went sideways once in this race. So best to be safe than sorry. Come down pit road, maybe gain a bunch of positions to set yourself up for the end of stage 1. He's going to have about 16 laps to make a charge to the front, and who knows, maybe he gets to the top 5, maybe he doesn't. Your top 5 did not change very much here as we're under our second caution of the evening. It is Ted Wade, Keith Bradley, Stephen Thomas, Hunter Parsons, and Michael McKinnon. We'll round out your top 5. The rest of your lineup will be right here on this Racecraft TV pylon. But this has been an interesting race so far. We've seen some green flag runs, but track position's a premium, and getting yourself clear in that outside lane is too.
And I'm looking right now. I'm just trying to see which one of our drivers we have here in the top 5, top 10 that still doesn't have a winner. Or a win, sorry, so far this season. Hunter Parsons doesn't have a win. He's coming in a little bit late to the season. I don't know if he would get a waiver or not, but another driver that stands out, winless so far this season, Michael McKinnon in that 13 machine sitting back there in 5th place. Look for him to be aggressive here on this restart.
Yeah, aggression to get some stage points will always be a thing as we cross the line. Pace lights should go out here. We should be able to double file these trucks up and get ready to go back racing to complete lap 34 and put 35 on the board. And we do go 2x2. Ted Wade takes the outside. No surprise from you?
I'm not sure. I don't know where I would take here, but if Ted Wade's taking the outside line, I would probably take the outside line as well.
That's a smart decision. Your race pick winner. I haven't said mine yet. I'll pick mine, coming to the white flag. And I'll say, you know what? I picked him the whole time.
Yeah, which would be kind of weird, though, if it was Ted Wade, though. Cause I mean, I'll let you do it, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate that one. Hey, the new kid on the block, every now and again has to pick a good feather out of the cap, but who knows? Well, maybe it'll be Keith Bradley, maybe it'll be Thomas, maybe we'll get a green-white checker finish and all chaos will ensue. Who knows? We'll find out in a little while. Pace truck pulls down onto pit lane. We'll get the green flag for the 3rd time here tonight as Ted Wade, he's on the loud pedal. We're back racing there at the Rock.
Yeah, and his teammate again, Keith Bradley, going to file in there to that high side. Maybe a little bit of a teammate restart there, side by side between Parsons and Stephen Thomas off of turn 2. It looks like Thomas, they're going to let him have the spot, but a little bit of trouble there for the 23. A big lift there coming off of 2.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that the bottom lane on the initial restart hasn't really been good. You saw the teammates working together with Wade and Bradley as one takes the high side, gets a good launch, allows the other to pull in. But you see this side by side right here, and hey, they're not clear. They make contact there, and now it's allowing the rest of this pack to work themselves together. The 48 makes contact, one's in the wall, 48 goes around.
Oh, 48's around. It looks like the 3 of Chris Cinnamon caught up in that as well. We're going to be under yellow again here. I also see that was, and it looks like we saw that on the onboard camera. That was awesome, Terry. That happened right in front of us as well. Looks like the 48 just coming off at 2. We've seen that happen so many times here. This is really not a place you want to be side by side, and things like this will happen.
Well, I think we have I know we have a very talented producer up here, so it's like he can sense when something's about to happen. He took us right there to the onboard camera and watched another driver, Chris Cinnamon, go up and into the wall and continuously kind of bounce here as we take a look here at the NASRA replay. And, well, you called it. Walk us through it.
Yeah, it looks like the 48 just coming off at 2 here just gets into Cinnamon and really nowhere to go right there as well. And you know it as well as I do, Terry. Once you get caught up in these cars, it's really hard to get off of them. There you see the Newbert going around there. The 87 as well collects the 8 of Cantwell. Really Cantwell trying to avoid that whole thing and then just nowhere to go there at the last minute.
Well, and then you see the banking really come into effect as we take a look at a separate replay here of this. just look at him, the lift of the front end of that truck against the wall where he kind of pinballed himself up there, and then they make secondary contact. So initial contact happens down the back, and then he gets off the wall and makes another contact again. But the banking played a factor into this with the 8 and the 4 to where they kind of got stuck there. The 4 goes around, makes a little contact on the outskirts of this wreck, and then has a hard time getting the throttle back down to get off there. But we're almost to the end of this stage. What are you thinking here? If you put yourself in a different position and go, hey, can I come pit? We're going to have 10 laps to go before the caution's thrown for the stage. Maybe try a little something with that extra set you have sitting around.
That's the tougher decision, though, isn't it? Though we've seen so many cautions so far. If you're a betting man, you got to think maybe another one's coming out before the end of the stage, so maybe you could push it a few more laps before you come in and make that commitment to tires. If you do it, though, you're really setting yourself up, though, for a race win. So I don't think anybody else is in this position right now where you're trying to go for a Hail Mary win. I think you got a lot of guys right now there, Terry, that do need these these stage points if they're going to give Ted Wade any shot in the playoffs. So I don't think we're going to see anybody really pit for track position at the end of the stage. I think everybody's going to be hungry for those playoff points coming here to the end of stage 1.
Well, currently, as we sit, we'll talk about this more at the end of the show, but our NASRA 360 Hard Charger Award, so far it's looking like Taylor Peacock plus 16 positions back there in P11, doing a mighty fine job of working his way through traffic. Did not have the best qualifying run. You take a look right here at that 81 machine, that Chevy Silverado. Not too shabby so far in the early portions of 40 laps here around Rockingham.
Yeah, and he won our season opening exhibition race at Daytona and touched on that so many times. Just hasn't been able to get a points paying race under his belt yet so far this season. But it wouldn't surprise me if you'd be able to see the 81 truck get up there and mix it up. Was really strong at Daytona a few weeks ago. Really thought he was going to break through there, but maybe he'll get it done here tonight at Rockingham.
Well, this would definitely be a monumentous win if it comes here at Rockingham, because we talked about it being a very famed racetrack. I passed this track on my way to Virginia, and I said, man, how cool would it be if they made this track back on the NASCAR schedule. I said it last night in a tweet that if this comes back and the ticket comes out, I think it would be the second hottest ticket to find other than North Wilkesboro with the All-Star race, because of just the history and the prestige behind this one racetrack where we haven't seen it since what, 2010, 2011, when the Truck Series came back for a one-off event. But you always get to see it here on iRacing, thanks to the wonderful folks that come out here and scan these racetracks for us. But the pace car comes back down for the fourth time here this afternoon down pit lane. Teammate's going to work again. Ted Wade still leads. He's hard on the loud pedal once more, and the 29 is going to try to get to the outside.
Stephen Thomas got a little bit more of a jump, though, that time, though. Keith Bradley was able to move up right away. He's able to do it now, fend him off, and it's a side-by-side battle for about fifth place there between the 13th of Michael McKinnon and the 16th of Doucette. And you see how all these drivers, Terry, except for about 3 wide on 10th, we got one guy up in the wall there. Everybody's trying to just single file out here as soon as they possibly can.
Well, I haven't seen 3 wide that often work here at this racetrack, but Jerry Nadeau goes to the bottom. He takes the 81 of Taylor Peacock with him. He takes Jose Rivero with him. All 3 of those drivers made it stick in turns 1 and 2, 3 wide, mind you. And this is interesting. You have 1 in the middle, 1 on the bottom, 1 all the way to the wall. They come off before, and the momentum takes to the bottom. And now you see that's the 81. He's going to work his way into 1, and he almost didn't clear the 95.
Yeah, a little bit of a slide job there by the 81. And yeah, you mentioned it, Terry. We've seen so many drivers have problems just side-by-side racing here tonight. And now you see guys trying to go 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide sometimes here as we get close to the end of stage 1 here. So we're going to probably continue to see the intensity ramp up as the night continues to wear on.
Well, we're coming down to, it would be 5 laps to go in the stage when they cross that line. Ted Wade's already jumped out to a half a second lead over his teammate Keith Bradley. And Bradley is starting to close it down a little bit. It's now 0.3 of a second maybe a little co-opetition here where one needs some stage points, the other kind of has done his own thing around and about this season with just racking up 4 wins. It's just an impressive feat so far, and he's been dominant in the early portion of this stage and the race, but 45, we got 5 to go before we call stage 1 over.
And nobody will say it, Terry. Nobody's going to go out there and say, oh yeah, we're working together as a team. These guys are going out here trying to get every spot they can for themselves as well, but there is a team championship up for grabs as well with cash on the line, so these drivers try to help their teammates out as much as they possibly can. We saw it last week at Daytona with the Upfront Motorsports guys trying to help out the 29 machine and Bradley, get him on the win list as well, so they have 3 drivers in the playoffs now, Terry, and that's going to be helpful coming down the stretch.
It's always going to be helpful as you see the 20 right here, Rivera starting to fall back a tad bit. All these drivers trying to get every little position possible as Morales, he looked to the inside, couldn't make it work. He's going to go single file here, and he's got Cantwell, Gregory's, LaBeouf, Pitts all behind him trying to get what he has. And right now, that would be the 13th position, not in his spot for stage points, but it's not going to matter so far as that top 10 is starting to set sail.
Yeah, top 10 really hasn't changed much, even though we've seen a lot of incidents so far in this race. It's been mainly just towards the back of the pack and the drivers battling for about 15th on back where I've seen most of our incidents. But again, Wade, Bradley, Thomas, Parsons, you set your top 5 so far. That hasn't changed much since the drop of the hat of this race, Terry.
It really has not changed much at all as you see the 8 and the 9 starting to go side by side here. And now I believe that would be the 9 machine. He works to the outside of Rivera. That's LaBeouf. He's trying to look and see if he can pass Morales. He got the 2-for-1 special in the corner, but lap 49's on the board. Wade and Bradley's doing a great job going this up as the 9's going to look down to the inside of the 6, coming in 3 and 4. The 9 goes all the way down to the bottom, works up a little bit. He's going to clear that position. Lap 50 here, Ted Wade, we're waiting on the caution to come out. He is going to be your stage 1 winner, and what a dominating stage performance for the 2.
Yes, just really a good run so far. We're still green flag racing here, so when Ted Wade comes to the line this time, I think that's where you'll see the yellow flag come out here. And yeah, Ted Wade, again, just a dominating run throughout all these races. And have you ever heard that one before, Terry?
Yeah, it's kind of ringing a bell to me as it always goes. Stage 1 caution does get thrown. Your top 10 did not change very much, minus a couple that worked their way in here. You got Taylor Peacock worked up 20 positions here. He's got a fast machine for him. Jerry Nadeau works up 11. He came from the 21st starting position to P10. You're looking at your stage 1 winner. That is Ted Wade, and we'll take a look here at what our stage point winners got. You got Ted Wade, Stephen Thomas, Keith Bradley, Hunter Parsons, Joey Doucette, Devin Painter, Taylor Peacock, Michael McKinnon, Justin Lumpkin, and Jerry Nadeau all receiving stage points to end this one. And now it's a no-brainer, right? Everybody comes down pit lane for the first time or second time for these drivers.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see anybody stay out. Maybe a lap car trying to get a lap back here, but also give a shout out to Joey Doucette in the 16 and Devin Painter in the 99, also up 6 positions from the start of our race here as well. So a lot of guys making some headway up towards the front. Really important coming down to this first stop, not to speed. Go in there, get 4 tires, and get a nice reset here going into stage 2.
2 drivers stay out on this racetrack, and we could potentially make it 3. Tyler Detmer and Chris Blanchard stay on the racetrack. They'll assume P1 and P2. Let's see this lead thing. It still guides me. Drivers stay out. We talked about them coming down pit lane on lap 39 and 31 when the cautions came out here this afternoon. What do you do if you're the driver that's going to be behind them on what would then be 10, 12, 13, 14 lap fresher tires? Is now they just put their first set on and they have an extra set in the bank if we get a green, white checkered finish.
Well, if you're the drivers on fresh tires, you got to be aggressive, but you also got to be patient as well, which I know sounds like an oxymoron, but you can't force the issue. If you force the issue, cause an incident, and not only do you ruin your own race, but you're going to ruin a lot of other drivers' races as well. But you do need to get back to the front as quickly as you possibly can. If you're someone like Ted Wade, you know your truck is really good in clean air, and you want to get that as fast as you possibly can. So you need to make these moves and not get bogged down in this traffic, but you also need to make sure not to take anybody out and take yourself out at the same time.
It's a very solid point. And somebody comments in the chat, Chris Moon says Rockingham is being repaved next month and NASCAR may come back just like North Wilkesboro. If you're NASCAR, Ian, and you're obviously seeing that that the Rockingham Raceway is going to be repaved, do you bring ARCA back here? Do you bring the trucks back here? Maybe the Xfinity Series and maybe test it before you bring the Cup back?
No, just straight to Cup racing. Why not? Straight to Cup racing and IndyCar doubleheader, and just send it. And what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Yeah, that sounds interesting. Non-paying race, non-points paying, or are you going full on Rock 500?
Rock 500. It will be the championship race for both series.
You heard it first here. If it happens, Ian Fisher said it before anybody else said it. Championship 500-mile race at Rockingham. Wouldn't that be something? A doubleheader between Cup trucks and Xfinity and IndyCar at the same time?
Yeah, you know what? I'm just no, I'm not going to go that far. I was going to say multi-class race. We'll just crank the meme up to 11, but I'm being halfway serious, though. Getting back to the race as well, looking at your leader, Tyler Dittmer, he's got a lot of damage on the front end of that 34 truck, and we'll see how that kind of works for him when we go back to green flag racing here. I think he's going to struggle with that as far as just getting going, and then having Ted Wade breathing down your neck has to be uncomfortable as well.
Well, he was sitting top 5 until him and Doucette made contact. He had the damage from a prior incident early on with our first yellow flag that waved here over the Top Designs 200. So we'll see what Tyler Dittmer can do here, as he is going to be the first person to start on the bottom of the racetrack for a restart and be the first person other than Ted Wade to lead us back to the green flag. This is caution number 5 that waves, but this one's for the stage. They get to the restart zone. Green flag's back in the way. Dittmer's hard on the loud pedal here, and now we'll see how quick does he fall as car in P2 is in the wall. Blanchard's hard up there on the outside, and he's going to get past like a freight train.
Yeah, Blanchard had a really, really tough time getting going. Didn't quite get up in the wall, but definitely ran up the racetrack there a little bit going in the first. And watching him now, he just continues to drop spots. That'll give the Wade to Tyler Dittmer and Ted Wade. Trying to do all he can right now to run him back down, and I think he has the truck to do it. Like I said, it's just about patience right now, Terry.
Going to be a game of patience. This is the 81 of Peacock. He jumps to the bottom. He'll make that pass pretty easily. And you got Painter trying to work his way into the top 8. He's getting a whole handful of the 95 of Nadu. He works to the outside here. He'll go to the wall. Painter goes to the middle-ish, bottom to the portion as they continue to go side by side here. The 19 doesn't have a whole lot of damage on there. He said he didn't catch the wall. Nadu caught the wall there. He almost took Painter with him.
Yeah, and just a lot of these drivers just driving really aggressively in the turn number 1. You see a little bit of damage there to the outside of Nadu's truck, and just trying to get to the inside of the 99 of Devin Painter right now and can't quite do it. Painter able to carry a lot of speed and get a really good drive off the corner that time, and looks like something might be wrong there with that 95 truck.
Yeah, he caught the wall there going into the corner. So we'll see what this kind of does for the 95 as he's going to get passed by the 87 of Lumpkin, who caught the wall a little bit earlier. And it does look like more problems for the 95 as he goes to the bottom, and he's well off the pace compared to the drivers on the outside lane as he's becoming the one getting freight trained here. And I wonder if maybe something's broke.
Something has to be happening because he's just really fallen off the pace. There's one thing being stuck to the bottom line and losing your momentum, and then there's something that's happening right now, and he continues to fall back through the pack right now, finds himself in 14th position, and right now has the 86 of Kyle Hess bearing down on him. And up towards the front of the back here, though, we've had a pass for the lead. Ted Wade finds himself back up in front.
Yeah, this is a battle that we kind of thought was going to ensue as Ted Wade does clear for the lead. And I'm kind of curious, what happened to Bradley there as he's all the way back in the 15th position? Maybe an issue on pit road as he has fallen very hard through this field. He was P2 when we ended stage number 1, and now you see him all the way back here riding in the 15th spot. not accustomed here. He's not used to driving through the field. He's, you know, just been up here biding his time behind his teammate.
Yeah, able to gain one more spot back there, but has lost 9 positions from where he started this race. So yeah, definitely some problems there for the 29 of Keith Bradley, and last week's winner, looking to have a solid run here and gain some momentum going into the playoffs. Definitely not what you want to do, but at least 64 laps into this race, still has a lot of time to make up some spots and just get himself into some groove here. There doesn't seem to be any damage on him there, so maybe just lost his momentum, had to check up a little bit.
Maybe so, as he stayed in the pit box for 43.5 seconds. So I would imagine that there was a little bit of a penalty that was ensued. That was ensued there as he went to look to take it 3 wide. Did not do that, chose not to, gets around Nadu as there's a caution in front of him. They're wrecking, and he misses it, as that's the 19 of Blanchard. He's around, and that was unexpected.
And we saw Blanchard, he was struggling there with the worn tires, had about 12 laps on his tires there. We went back to green flag racing and saw himself fall back through the field there, maybe just not able to hang on finally.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the replay here. We'll see what had happened was. He's going through the corner, minding his own business, just whistling the Andy Griffith theme song. I got the 27 right there, breathing down his neck, and they go into the corner, and slight contacts made, and everybody misses it. Small contact for those 2 drivers, and maybe that made him stop whistling, or maybe made him whistle louder.
It looks like it's a 27 there was kind of going for vengeance after the initial contact too. Like, here, see, he makes the shot, and then he's like, gonna finish him off. I don't think he was doing that, but it just kind of looks like that a little bit.
It's like the Mortal Kombat finish him.
Yeah. In for a penny, in for a pound, I guess. So.
Yeah, you know, maybe. Well, we'll speculate up here all day long, but yeah, just small contact, and then just bam, right back into the side. I think that's the Punisher car or truck that kind of gets him there as well. It might have been the 11 of Derek Kilgore that gets into the side, or James D. Morris, one of those drivers. They're on pit lane, so kind of speculating here on what car that was that decided to plow into the side there of the 19 machine. But he continues on, no harm, no foul, and we're under caution number 5 here this afternoon, or is it caution 6? Did I skip one?
It's one of those. It's caution, yes.
Yes.
And if it was the Punisher car, unfortunately, that was Derek Kilgore.
Yes. So I was right, and that worked in my favor. But Tyler Ditmore didn't fall far. The apple didn't fall far from him, as he only fell to 3rd there in that initial little wave. So put some laps down. Didn't lose a whole lot of spots. 14 laps to be exact. P3's not a bad spot to be sitting in with. You know, you're on the same, you're on an opposite strategy of everybody around you.
No, it's not a bad spot to be at, but really we've seen so far this season, just in NASRA here on the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, Terry, is that you do kind of want to stay on the same strategy. You don't want to get too far off strategy. One race that comes to mind is Pocono, where the painter and a few others were able to get off strategy and kind of get a win that way. But on a vast majority of these racetracks, you really want to stick with what the majority of the field is doing and kind of make your moves out on the racetrack more than through strategy.
Well, strategy is being played a lot more excellent for Tyler Ditmore than it was for Blanchard. He fell like a rock in this afternoon, and so far, he's sitting at the 31st position on pit lane. No shock to people that are tuning in to this race that it's still being dominated by the 2 machine. But he's got the 23. That's Stephen Thomas that's working his way up here. He's currently sitting in the P2 position. He's up 2 spots from where he started, so qualified 4th here this afternoon. And he's hung around right here. Maybe, just maybe, he timed it well. On the second to last restart, can he time it well on the bottom? Well, he'll be right back. We'll see as they go 2 by 2 here. Pace lights are out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck. It is Ted Wade, Stephen Thomas, Tyler Ditmore, Hunter Parsons, Joey Doucette rounds out your top 5 with Taylor Peacock up 21 positions back there in the 6th place position. And you got Trey Pitts. You got a fan out there, Chris Moon. Pitts is on the rise. He's in the 10th place position, plus 16 from where he started here this afternoon. Pace truck is getting ready to come through turns 3 and 4, and he'll peel off for the 5th or 6th time. I have lost track. We needed a caution counter, and he does take the hard right turn. They're going to come to that restart zone, and green flag's back in the air. Ted Wade's hard on the loud pedal. Side by side for 3rd as Dittmer's going to be on the bottom. Parsons going to be to the outside. You got Peacock and Doucette fighting back there behind him. The 81 and the 16 is just waiting to capitalize on what move is made in the front. But Parsons in the 05, he's going to get the run, move him to P3, exactly where he started. So net gain caution back on the racetrack, and the 13 is around in the infield here.
Yeah, what happened there to him, Terry? I don't know if there is any help so far. I don't see any other trucks right now that are in any kind of trouble. I don't really see anybody else on pit road. Maybe the 00 of Huck Wigington possibly involved as well. We'll see here. 13 coming off of 4, and oh, he just turned him.
That would be Rivera, who gets to the back bumper of the 13 off the exit of turn 4. But no harm, no foul for that 13, as he did not hit anything. You should take a replay here right on the wonderful shot. Just underestimating what the 13 was going to do on exit there, Ian.
Yeah, a little bit of bumper scoot and boogie right there from the 20, and I think maybe the 13 got a little bit loose there, just had to lift the lightest bit, and the 20 wasn't expecting it. And you kind of mentioned it, though. No harm, no foul, not too much damage to the 13 truck there, and really doesn't look like anything there from the 20 from that bit of contact, at least just some damage from some earlier incidents.
Well, it looks like the 20 is going to be given an EOL into the longest line for him as he goes down to the bottom of the racetrack, lets every other driver go around him. And for a driver that needs the points here, right, Ian, he needs the points. He's on the cusp of getting into the playoffs. He's right there. How big of a blow is it that he's going to have to come through the hornet's nest to get back up here to even maintain or gain as we're 28 laps away from ending stage 2?
I don't think you can think about that too much. You kind of know it's one of the rules here in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series that if you're involved in an incident and it's deemed to be your fault, you're going to go to the back of the line there. And I don't think he was intending to do that, but if you have to assign some kind of blame in that situation, it definitely was the 20's fault. So I think if you're just sitting there in the cockpit, yes, it's frustrating, but you just kind of get back up on the wheel and do all you can to get back through. You got a lot of time here, not even halfway through this race yet, Terry, so still got some time there for the 20.
Well, it gives him an opportunity to come down pit road. So there's always a positive that follows it. He goes to the back. Go ahead and just take a set of tires. You're halfway-ish between stage 1 and stage 2 to put yourself in that position. The 95 finally comes down pit road after the contact he made with the outside wall. Comes down, maybe getting some service there, potentially fixing some damage and maybe putting a fresh set of tires on the 95 machine. There's a lot of drivers here. It's become a battle of attrition. Can you make it stick all the way through here? And can we see a green flag run longer than 30 laps?
Well, I think that's really the question right now, Terry, is we just haven't seen anybody put together that long green flag run. And I think that's where we're going to see a difference in a lot of these trucks, is where we start to see a lot of tire wear and just a really long green flag run. That's where you'll see the difference between some of these drivers.
And we'll definitely see what a lot of these drivers have. I wonder, your pick has looked phenomenal in Ted Wade. If anybody has anything for that 2 machine, I would think that the beginning of stage 3 is kind of when you have to show it. Maybe some drivers not putting all their cards on the table here, but I have to look at a guy like Taylor Peacock, who has driven through this field up 22 positions, or a Tyler Dittmer who's making work happen out there in the P3 or P4 position now on the outside with a little bit of damage and off sequence.
Well, and you're so tough if you're one of these drivers that's not Ted Wade, because you're like, well, I'll just catch him on a long run if we ever get a chance to do that. But he's so good at saving the tires too, Terry. So really nothing you can do to kind of penetrate that armor of the 2 truck this year. So it's going to be coming down to either the 2 truck making a mistake or something happening in front of him.
Well, I think we're going to have to see, as we're 25 laps away from the end of stage 2. And it's been the Ted Wade show. So anybody who wants to go eat some Frosted Flakes, be a good time to go get a big bowl of cereal. I know I'm hungry. I could definitely go for a bowl. As the pace truck pulls down, I believe for the 7th time, might have skipped another one. He goes off onto pit lane. Ted Wade leads us again to green flag, and it's back out, and he's rolling.
And again, oh, trouble behind, Terry. Got a couple trucks on the wall. Looks like the 16 at Doucette. That's at least 4 trucks there. Oh, and they're just going to all start to pile in here. Nowhere to go. We've got the big one here at Rockingham, Terry.
That is a parking lot party. In turn 1, couple drivers have towed. Everybody has stopped into turn 1. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was going to miss that one, as it just happened in front of everybody. And the only man that potentially didn't get anything was right there.
And I think that most of the top 10 missed that. Maybe the top 5 missed that, but there is a lot of drivers in this field that had to miss that. A lot of playoff drivers, and you can see they're just somebody a little bit too overzealous on the restart, maybe some wheel spin, and anybody on that top line kind of got through the initial run. But then look at that, about, I don't know, 10 to 15 trucks maybe, Terry, right there.
Well, they say in country music that there ain't no party like a parking lot party, and well, they just had one in turn number 1, and it all starts with contact up in the front portion of this race as the 34 gets pinched into the wall by the 05, and then all hell breaks loose behind him, and everybody comes piling in. The 7 comes banging into this party. People are going backwards. I'm sure the radio has lit up like a 4th of July show.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a night done, at least for, you saw Doucette that look. You can see that hard hit he takes to the inside wall there up at the front, and then I think, oh gosh. Yep, 48's night done. Looks like Dittmer there has some smoke coming out of the engine as well, so definitely some nights done for some trucks in this incident, Terry.
Well, if I was a betting man and I was looking at my leaderboard here, Morales, Cantwell, Kilgore, Haney, Dittmer, Painter, Rivera, Mata, Hess, that would be the ones that I would say was in this. And maybe Hunter Parsons. Yes, Hunter Parsons is involved. The 9 had a little bit in that as well. And then you go 18th up, where you potentially do not have any type of issues or situations here. And what a mess, as my other mother says out there.
Well, and it's difficult as a driver too, Terry, because you're so amped up and you're on these restarts and you want to try to get as many spots as you possibly can. And obviously it's very hard to see what's happening in front of you, but as well there has to be a little bit of discipline too. You know, you gotta recognize that something like that is happening in front of you, and drivers got to work together and kind of escape those situations. And you kind of saw there that nobody really tried to do that. It was very opportunistic, and that kind of leads to just larger incidents here, especially on these restarts, Terry.
Am I allowed to put myself in the driver's seat for a second, or is that like frowned upon as the lead? Like I said, I'm not used to this.
I'm not gonna say anything.
I guess I don't understand it. If you see a cloud of smoke, this isn't Days of Thunder. It could be. You could potentially make a good Tom Cruise move and work your way through it like he did at Darlington there. But you see smoke. Check up. The break is awesome. But now we go double file again for the 8th time here this afternoon. It's still Ted Wade, Stephen Thomas, Peacock, Lumpkin, and Jacob. Don't kill me. What's it? How do you pronounce it?
Click card.
Click card. Yeah, okay. And you got Blake Lothian in there as well. That makes up your top 6 here this afternoon as Trey Pitts moved up a couple positions because of that. Bradley, Cinnamon, and Gregory will round out your top 10. And a lot of drivers. There's 3 in this top 10 that's up double digits positions. And the 5 makes up one more that puts him 10 up here this afternoon as they work down the back straightaway. They're getting ready to come to the green flag.
Yeah, as we go back green flag racing here, Terry, Smokey the Bear comes to mind. Only you could present forest fires. And in this case, forest fires are multi-car incidents. So hopefully we don't have enough other one here when we go back to green flag racing.
Base truck pulled down. Oh, and Ted Wade gets on the loud pedal again. Green flags back in the air at the Rock.
Yeah, it's just been surprising so far. The drivers that are in the lead, just look at the launch that they get off in the turn 1 here, and especially with Ted Wade, it just kind of sets the pace for his dominance through the rest of these green flag runs, Harry.
20 laps to go in stage number 2. We'll get to the halfway portion of this race as well as you see a side-by-side battle going on right here between Bradley and that would be the 5 trying to work their way up here, and we start to go single file back out here. This top 10's kind of gonna be patient, maybe. Do you think we see some more aggressive moves?
Well, I think a lot of these drivers, especially as we get deeper into this race, and anybody who's still here now knows that they're not going to survive the rest of this race if they get into an incident. I know it seems really simple to say, but it's hard to balance all these things when you're behind the wheel of one of these race trucks. And if you want to get to the end of this race, you're going to have to survive it first and then put yourself in a position to win. And I think a lot of these drivers are starting to realize that, Terry.
So you think Smokey the Bear, I start to think Rocky, you know, the eye of the tiger. You got to have something to get yourself at the end of this as we continue to see side by side right here. And this time you see Bradley, he's trying to work past Lothian. So these two having an excellent battle between one another. No contact made into turn 1. No contact off of 2. Lothian catches the apron just a tad bit, works his way up. They're still side by side into 3.
I'm surprised how much momentum the 29 truck of Keith Bradley is able to carry into the corner while still being on that bottom side there. He's actually almost able a couple of times to get a run there. You see Lothian definitely gets a really good run there heading back into turn 1. He'll take the spot from Bradley, but coming off of turn 2 here, even the low side, Keith Bradley's getting a pretty decent run in that truck.
Yeah, he went from top to bottom, worked it there. You saw a little looseness in the back end of this. We stay under the green flag condition. We're going to work lap 84 when Wade comes across the line. He'll put lap 85 on this board. So we're coming down to about 15 to go before we see the end of this stage. Any surprises jump off of this page in this top 10 that really, after practice and qualifying, did you expect to see them here?
Honestly, yes. Something that does stand out to me so far is the 81 machine of Taylor Peacock. He's so far our NASRA 360 hard charger in this race, and he's just had a really good run, finds himself in that 3rd position right now. And I mentioned last week at Daytona, he had a truck that looked like could have possibly won that race, and he's following it up with another good run here tonight from Rockingham, and that kind of surprises me. I kind of thought he was a super speedway specialist, but showing here he could actually get it done at Thunder Valley as well.
Yeah, you put him out here at the racetrack that drivers have always said that this was one of the most challenging tracks and one of the most challenging races that they've done across any service or any real life race. And we work lap 87 here. We start to see a lot more single file racing until you get right here. This is the best battle on the racetrack between the 29 and the 43, Bradley and Lothian. And they're even catching the 87 of Lumpkin. So no surprise, they could be fighting side by side. They still have a ton of speed.
They do, and especially linked up like that right now, they're getting a little bit of a draft advantage, and kind of breaks right now as they head into turn 1 and 2, kind of spanning out into the corner there. And You notice the differences in line right now. Lothian's really satisfied with running that high line, and you can see the 29 and Bradley just trying to move around, finding whatever line is fastest for that race truck right now. But behind him, Pitts there just sitting, kind of watching this battle happen in front of him. Maybe not trying to get too involved right now, just trying to see what develops here as we have 10 laps to go in the stage.
It's so funny. You took the thought right out of my head that they're battling has allowed Pitts to work his way into this and almost going to make it a 3-truck fight. As now you see Bradley work to the outside, rolls reverse. You put Lothian on the bottom, Bradley on the outside. The 29 clears, move him up to the 5th place position, and now Pitts is going to try to capitalize on the 43 of Lothian. They go into one. No fight back from the 43. But now it's hard charge above, catch the 87, work your way into a 4th place position for a little bit more stage points with 10 to go.
And a lot of the people watching it at home, especially with oval racing, Terry, they go, how's there any skill by it? It's just driving around in circles. But that's what's really fun to watch. It's just the battling between two drivers. And you saw it there with Bradley running the bottom side a few times, really just taking a sweeping line through the corner. And then he chooses to take the high side that Lothian is really comfortable with, takes it away from him, and able to make the pass right away. So just sitting there and finding the tendencies of the driver that you're battling with and finding a way to use that to your advantage is really what you can see the 29 doing right now as he's trying to make a move on the 87 machine of Justin Lumpkin.
And that's something that a lot of people say, oh, you're just driving in the circle. I haven't learned that spot yet. Learning the tendencies of another driver to find their line and take it from them. Like that aggression level, that know-withal that you have to be thinking, okay, I can't hit the wall. I have to go into the corner at this speed. I have to hold it at this time. And right there, if you're Bradley, now you have to learn somebody totally different. You have to learn what the 87's been doing here for 93 laps, as now you see Ted Wade's worked himself into lap traffic. He's got the 23 breathing down his neck, and well, he has to figure this out.
Yeah, and almost a little bit of a bump there from the 23. It almost looked like heading off into turn 3 there, able to hold him off here, but 23 does have a little bit of a run there. A move by Ted Wade up to the high side, and you can see the 23 was really diving it in there, locked the brakes up a little bit, and they will battle coming off of turn 2 here with the 23 all over the bumper of the 2.
Well, the 23, that's fighting for position. It's the first time we've seen somebody really put a challenge, put a fight up to Ted Wade. As lap traffic kind of made this a thing. As now the 2, he's catching all sorts of traffic. He's caught people that has been involved in incidents that have not had the speed so far in this race. And with 5 laps to go in this stage, well, it's game on.
We've seen this happen a few times before this season where a driver is able to get to the back bumper of Ted Wade, but they're not able to get to the pass done. And Stephen Thomas right now still just all over the bumper, about a truck length behind Ted Wade right now. And I think you mentioned it there, Terry, when he got into the lap traffic there, it took a little bit of the clean air off of the nose, and you can kind of see it now that he has the clean air again. Just the slightest bit of space being between him and the 23 truck.
Well, you see this rear cam brought to you by Over the Top Designs, is also the sponsor of this race with the Over the Top Designs 200 at Rockingham. You see the battle right here on board of the 2 of Ted Wade. He looks back at the 23 of Stephen Thomas. Thomas goes to the bottom. He gets a nose there. Wade shuts it off on the exit of 2. They're down the back straightaway. Can the 23 set this pass up? Caution flags out. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
One truck's...
Oh, Wade! He caught the wall.
He did catch the wall there, trying to get around it.
Well, that's a big break for the field.
I think he's still going to win the stage, but yeah, there's definite damage to that 2 truck now.
And this should end the stage. So if math is correct, it's not my strong suit. We're about to take a look at the replay of what put us under caution number 8. And this will be the stage and the caution flag at the same time. So we'll circle that one, that Ted Wade wins stage number 2. And Ian, walk us through the replay here.
Let's see here. We're looking on the 7 machine right now, and heads down to the apron here, trying to maybe go onto pit road and possibly letting a few trucks by here, maybe just entering pit road. And we'll see, there's Ted Wade here. That was the battle between him and Stephen Thomas. Maybe happened a little bit in front of him here, because we saw Ted Wade got some damage on. Oh yeah, look, it happens right here, right in front of our leaders battling. And There goes, yep, Ted Wade just tries to avoid it, goes to the top side there and hits the wall. That's going to be some definite damage there for the 2 truck. Let's see what happens here from his perspective, Terry.
Yeah, we look on board at the Kellogg's Corn Flakes machine as he sees the wreck ensue in the high side of the track between the 8 and the 05. He tries to back it down, Can't, oh, boom, in the wall, and that is that's a hefty amount of damage there. And, well, I don't know if you're a Corn Flakes fan or not, but definitely has a soggy bowl there.
Yeah, and you can see some trucks passing him coming off of pit road, so he's definitely stopping to get some repairs done there to that 2 truck. So that's going to be, at least for Ted Wade's chances of winning this race, that's going to be devastating. That's going to allow Jose Luis Rivera in the 20 truck to inherit the lead. So right now he's going to be your net race leader. I don't think he's going to come down this time. He may still, because Nadu there you see pitting behind him. So Rivera may still come down, and that would allow Stephen Thomas to inherit the lead of this race, who was battling with Ted Wade before the caution came out, Terry.
Yeah, so we've reset this here, our stage winner. If they declared it right there, I guess we'll have to ask race control if they're in the chat to let us know, did they declare the stage right then and there, or is the stage going to be when they cross the line for lap 101 to end it at lap 100? So I guess it determines on when the caution was determined that it was going to be the stage, would set us up for how we call this. Because if you're Rivera and you stayed out here to get this stage win, if this is, when they come across the line here, the end of stage number 1, it's only going to tell if this strategy works, because if you're him, you win the stage, you come down pit road the next time by.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not entirely sure when they considered the end of the stage, if it was when the caution fell originally, or if it was going to be when they crossed the line on lap 100. But we'll see if he comes down this time by. It doesn't look like he's going to have any takers, so maybe just trying to stay out, put himself off strategy for the final stage.
I guess that's a question we'll have to ask a little bit later on in this broadcast, but the lights are off on the pace truck, so I would imagine they threw, when the time of the caution, they said, hey, that's the stage. So we will assume that either Rivera or Ted Wade won the stage, but the rest of the top 10 did not change. It was Thomas, Lothian, Bradley, Pitts, Peacock, Cinnamon, LaBeouf, Abbott, and Hammond was your top 10 outside of Ted Wade. So it's either the 20 or the 2 that won stage 2, once again, depending on when they threw it for that to happen. But we'll see what the 20 does here, as we're about to go back green flag racing for the longest stint that we've seen so far without a guaranteed caution. Now, I would assume that we will have some more yellow flags as the race goes on, but the 20 takes the outside line. Thomas goes to the bottom. Pace truck comes down. He's going to try to get the best jump possibly in. They're coming to the green.
Oh, and they're side by side as they head down in the turn 1. Not able to get the greatest jump there was Jose Luis Rivera, and Stephen Thomas actually able to beat him off there. We got a whole bunch of trucks going and trying to avoid some contact there coming off of 2. Thomas still able to hold on to advantage now, opens up to about a 3 or 4 truck length advantage over Rivera, and I think staying out on fresh tires, or sorry, on worn tires there wasn't exactly the play. You see one truck there slow back towards the mid part of the field there, Terry.
Yeah, I believe that would be the 93 again, a Hammond, that's had the issue there. He had an issue early on in this race. He's right in front of Wade. The interesting story we're going to have to follow is, can Ted Wade work his way back through the field? Had damage there on that caution. As now you see the 29. That's Bradley. He works past Rivera, shut the door on him hard, and now Cinnamon works his way in there. Pitts coming up to go into the top 5 for the first time here this afternoon. And if you're fans of the 11 machine of Kilgore, like radioactive trees are, he's working his way through the field. He's up to the 18th position. He's up 14 spots.
Yeah, and a really quiet run here from Trey Pitts, up 21 spots, finds himself now in the top 5, and just been doing a really good job of keeping that 21 truck clean all night long, and finds himself in a really good spot here, maybe even to steal the win as we come down the stretch here with Ted Wade now essentially out of this race.
This would be the first time we've seen a more human side of Ted Wade, of catching the wall there on the stage end as more stuff starting to ensue. You see smoke starting to happen, and doesn't seem like he has the speed that he necessarily had in the early portion of this race. Maybe the damage to that right side of that Silverado has kind of made him more beatable this time, as he's going to look to the inside of the 82 there. He'll make that pass work and land for him, so move him up above Abbott into the 14th position. And just what do you do if you're in the mindset in the cockpit of the two machine? Do you pick them off one at a time, or do you just fight like hell to get back to the front?
Well, you still got to try to get as many spots as you can in the long term with points, because those are still important. So you want to make as many spots up as you can if you're the two truck, but you don't want to put yourself in a spot where you try to make a pass that you don't need to make, and you maybe get yourself into an incident here. And it's interesting, he's about to pass Jose Luis Rivera in the 20 truck, who finds himself falling all the way back to 13th position now, make it 14th position as Ted Wade moves down the inside from leading this race here at the start of our stage.
Well, this is prime opportunity if you're Stephen Thomas to go get a win. Bradley's worked his way back up to second. So the struggles he had early on in the race, where he got stuck all the way back at the tail end of this field, mired in traffic, worked his way back up here. Lothe and Cinnamon Pitts. Maybe Peacock works his way up there. Trey Pitts currently owns the tiebreaker for the 360 Hard Charger Award, as they're both up 21 positions, but it's best finishing position at the end puts you there. And you see right now that battle on the racetrack would be the 87 machine. He is getting passed at the moment, and so far we're still clean and green.
Yeah, any one of our drivers in the top four right now, Terry, if they were able to come home with this race win tonight, would find themselves the only multi-race winner this season other than Ted Wade. So that's going to be huge, definitely going into our playoff battle here. So 90 laps to go, especially all these drivers in the top four. It'll throw, I guess, Brady LaBeouf in there as well, finding themselves back there at 7th position. All these guys have an opportunity here to really put an advantage on themselves and at least give themselves some kind of fighting chance heading into the playoffs with Ted Wade.
Going to look for some big momentum with 90 laps to go. When Stephen Thomas crosses this line, it's now 89 to go here at Rockingham. For folks that are just tuning in, I'm Terry Radford, not the normal voice you hear on the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. That's Ian Fisher, who's normally the guy that's here. Kenneth Bueno is normally the man that fills this seat. We love you, KB. We always will. As you look at the 29 of Bradley, trying to get back up to the front. He's been accustomed to running second all race long, but now he's chasing a different person. He was chasing the two of Ted Wade for a majority of stage one, had to work his way back up in stage two, but now he's got 88 laps to go, going to be 87 when they cross the line, to make up 1.2 seconds on Stephen Thomas, who's leading his first laps of the night here in stage three.
Keep in mind, we might still have one possible green flag pit stop before this race is through that these drivers will have to make. But so far right now, Keith Bradley, Stephen Thomas running about identical lap times, which are about some of the fastest we're seeing on the racetrack right now. 24.6s for those two drivers. Going back, the next fastest lap time is going to be your driver in third place, Blake Lothe, with like about a 24.8, and Chris Simon a 24.7 right now. So these two guys are the fastest right now on the racetrack, but Bradley just doesn't have that much of a speed advantage right now to reel Stephen Thomas in.
And I would be remiss if I didn't give love to the producer, Zach Johnson, who's given you great coverage here for the Over the Top Designs 200 at Rockingham. Put us on board of a caution that came out. Has put us on board with some of the best battles across the racetrack. As you look right here at the 81 of Peacock, he's going to get a fight right here from Brady LaBeouf as he looks above him, and he's got Pitts and Cinnamon trying to fight for third or fourth.
It's a tough spot to be in, especially if you're the 81 of Peacock there, and you feel the pressure of LaBeouf behind you, but you also have these two drivers fighting in front of you. Now that he looks to the bottom there of Cinnamon, he'll try to slide up the racetrack and try to clear him here. Really drove it in hard to that turn 3 there, trying to just get away from the 9 truck right now, but just see how much more momentum the 9 has on the bottom right now.
Yeah, the 9 of LaBeouf doing a really good job so far in this race. He's Peacock, he does make it stick, move LaBeouf to the 5th place position. That's net gain 9. We talked about passive being at a premium. You look at drivers up here, plus 22, plus 21, plus 10, plus 19. Well, that's just 4 out of your top 10. Everybody else has gained. And you go to Justin Lumpkin, he's -5, so fell from 5th there as the battle rages on here between the 43 and the 27. That's Pitts working his way to P3. That moves him up 23 spots, and he's turning 24.88. That matched the leader's lap time last time, and he's the 3rd fastest driver on the racetrack, and they come across the line that time.
And a lot of these drivers as well that we see making a lot of big swings throughout the field, Terry, I think are just avoiding a lot of these incidents that we've seen tonight as well, seeing kind of a race of attrition. We saw that one large incident take about 15, 20 trucks out, at least with 15 to 20 trucks that have damage. So a lot of trucks out here that aren't clean, and then a lot of trucks as well just getting into incidents. So we're seeing some drivers that maybe don't get to see themselves towards the front of the race up here and really mixing it up with some of the bigger names in the series.
When you talk about the fastest driver on the racetrack that last time by, well, you're looking at him. That was Brady LaBeouf in the 9 machine. They had to work a little traffic there. They almost go 3 wide. You know what? Let's make it 4 wide. We take it 3 wide on the bottom. That's Tyler Peacock. He's going to work to the inside of these drivers. And oh boy, how's this one going to work as they come through 1 and 2?
I don't know how that we see some guys, and they're still 3 wide now as we head down in the turns. Number 3, a little bit of a bump there from Peacock, it looks like, to Cinnamon, but it surprises me how we've seen it so many times, Terry, where guys are getting it together with a 2-truck incident, but then every time we go 3 wide, it seems like everybody has no problem with it.
Yeah, we hold it steady. You know, that's what they do. You got to make it challenging at some point in time, and Cinnamon made it really work right there as he jumped to the bottom. Oh, Peacock goes around. He's already to the inside wall, and another driver goes around with him. That's the 48 machine. He's going to be hard in the inside wall, and, well, they wouldn't even 3 wide, and they make that one happen.
Yeah, we were just saying that they had no problem going 2 wide, and then right there we just kind of put the curse on them, and there's the 48 involved. You mentioned the 81 was involved as well. I think it was contact with somebody other than the 48 originally that set that off. We'll have to see once we get a replay here. But yeah, the 48, I think, was just trying to avoid all that. And that's what happened there, Terry. So we'll see what happened that started this all off here. Oh, a big hit here.
Oh,
27th. That wasn't the initial incident. I saw that. That's what kind of caused the stack up. Yeah, Terry.
You remember early in the race when those two made contact? There they are again, back together, and you look here at this replay of what happens to the 81. The 21 gets loose on the outside, and sure enough, everybody collects in it, and the 48 just locks them up, and around he goes.
Yeah, I think the 48 was just trying to avoid what he saw in front of him, and it just had the brake bias set a little bit too far forward there, though. But you see the back end kind of snap out around there for him, and that's unfortunate for him because he missed everything, just tried to really avoid it there. But yeah, you saw that was a big shot there. I don't know exactly what was going on here, but you see the 81 just trying to stay off of Pitts and leads to him getting turned there.
Well, I could be honest with you. It honestly just looks like that, you know, Pitts gets loose and there's nowhere for the driver behind the 81 to go, and around he goes. And well, there was a lot of takers on pit lane, so a little bit of a shock here. You got the Hammond, Morales, Cantwell, Zimmerman, Rivera, Pitts, Gregory, Kilgore, all come down pit lane that time. And that was a good chunk of this field decides to come down with 77 laps to go. I still don't know if maybe that's in the fuel window, but potentially a little flip strategy here to put us in a different zone.
I definitely wouldn't want to go at least 76 on one run of tires as well too. So I think we'll see at least one more stop here, Terry. But a lot of these drivers, especially this race is kind of starting to drag on a little bit now too. So it has to be mentally taxing for these drivers. You get yourself in a position, you keep having to do all these restarts. You're thinking about tires, you're thinking about fuel. You're having to worry about if you're going to get caught up in the next incident. You know, is my truck damaged? So a lot of things going on here, and we still have about 75 laps to go in this race, Terry.
Still got 75 laps to go here in this event, and well, the happiest person so far in this race has to be the 23, maybe the 29. You could put him in there, that he has an opportunity to capitalize on this restart to maybe get it one spot position higher than where he's sitting. The 3 sitting pretty, Justin Lumpkin sitting pretty, and well, did not pit, missed that wreck. Ted Wade.
Yeah.
Back to 5th. Do you think he's got something for him?
Yeah, Ted Wade revenge race. Why not?
we'll play that one by ear. Your pick kind of fell a little bit there.
Yeah, but he's in 5th now again, so I'm calling it now. Ted Wade revenge race. He's gonna drive through everybody, and then we'll be interviewing him at the end of the night.
So we could change this from the over-the-top designs 200 at Rockingham to the Ted Wade revenge top designs.
No, it's like a personal thing. It's like a personal thing for Ted Wade. Like, you still got to make the sponsors happy, but like, you know, they'll do like a 30 for 30 on it.
I like that. Racecraft TV's 30 for 30, Ted Wade's redemption at Rockingham. I'm a big fan of that one. Hopefully we make the cut of being in that show, but I tell you who's ready for the show to kick off, and that's the 23. Pace truck comes down onto pit lane for like the 9th time. He gets hard on the loud pedal, and he takes the lead, 74 laps to go.
I wanted to let it run a little bit before I jinxed it, Terry, but it seems like every time we have one of these restarts, though, that they do seem to be figuring out a little bit more, and you see the field string out to single file a lot more quickly each and every time now.
I think everybody's getting a little bit more timid on what we're gonna do and what we're gonna see as you go 2 by 2 right here. And we'll go a little bit further up to the front. That's the battle for the lead. That's Bradley trying to work his way past the 23 of Thomas. Closest battle we've seen mainly all night long until the 23 got to the back bumper of the 2 of Wade. So we'll see, can the 29 make his way up to the front? This could be the battle set up for the win. Whoever gets this past here, you think maybe that's your winner?
Well, we saw them battling before that other caution flag came out, and it was about a second separation for these 2 drivers, but they're running similar lap times. So really it'll be these 2 guys battling, and don't look now, but Ted Wade finds himself all the way back up to 4th position now. You see Nadu here slowing on the apron, looks like making his way to pit road. We're going to stay green right now. We'll see if he's able to make it on there. It looks like he's going to be just fine, Terry, but yeah, Ted Wade finds himself all the way up to 4th now.
Yeah, finds his way to 4th, and I think I may be having a little bit of audio difficulty there. I don't know if I'm behind here of what we see, but the 29 still working his way as 0.2 of a second. Now make it 0.3 of a second, about a car length and a half. Separates 1 and 2 as we come to 70 laps to go. We're in the long haul of this race, trying to get the longest green flag run of the evening. It's single file, first through about 12th or 13th, and then you start to see a little bit more combustion back there a little further on back. Ted Wade moves up to P3. He gets around Justin Lumpkin, and now Lumpkin's going to work his way back to the inside and make that pass complete there going into turns 1 and 2.
And Lumpkin's going to battle back, though. Ted Wade threw a big slide job there, and you see them battling side by side off of 2 here now. Gives a little bit of an advantage here to Ted Wade going into turn number 3. But yeah, Ted Wade threw a very aggressive slide job there last time through 3 and 4. And Lumpkin was able to battle back a little bit here, but not able to make it stick as they cross the stripe this time.
Yes, 68 to go. You see LaBeouf, he's going to work his way to the inside here. He's going to look for the P4 position. Maybe throw the slider there. He didn't have to. He got clear through the center of the corner. So move him up to 4th, and now he sets his sight on the 2 machine. A little damage still on the Kellogg's machine, and LaBeouf has been fast. He was one of the fastest drivers on that last stint here as he goes to the inside with the pink wheels for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And what a nice spot to have him on there where you're going really, really fast and you're making the pink look good here in P3.
Yeah, and you saw that LaBeouf was able to drive in so much more aggressively in the turns 1 and 2, but LaBeouf right now, that truck is just hooked up around the bottom and really rolling the corner very, very well. He's just flying right now, and just trying to reel in these leaders right now, and I think he's going to catch up, Terry.
Well, if you want to take anything at face value, he's the fastest driver on the track. He pitted on lap 123. He has driven up through this field. He's already to the back bumper of the 29 of Bradley. Still has one set of tires. Oh no! 48 goes around and he backs it back on the racetrack.
Yeah, somebody clipped him there as they went by. I'm not entirely sure who it was. I think it was possibly Richards. Yeah, there's Richards, and then the 6 truck there has some damage to it. That's Morales. I'm not sure if he was involved as well. But I think it was Richards and somebody else here, Terry. I'm not entirely sure who he made contact with as they went by there.
Well, he just goes around.
Yep, he was just dancing there coming off of 2.
Dancing in the streets. No, and then he just backs it on the racetrack.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Who got there. Another look here.
Well, he looks a little loose, and then he just dances it all throughout the straight. What in the mess?
Can't quite see who that was, though, that he got caught up with. We'll see if anybody's heading down the pit road right now.
Wow. That was
it Lumpkin?
That
I don't
was
think
odd.
it was Lumpkin. Ted Wade's on pit road as well. Looks like he's grabbing tires. The 29 of Keith Bradley there. Just barely looks like he beats the 2 off of pit road. No, 2 got him.
That was interesting.
It was a bold strategy there, spinning off of the backstretch, and then that's usually not what you try to do, but I've seen crazier things work, Terry.
I mean, if that was the strategy we're going for, I'll take that strategy any game of the week. But I'm not too sure. I don't think I've ever called that. I've been doing this for a while, and that had to be the craziest caution that I have ever called in a year and a half of anything.
Yeah, I mean, that'll happen. It's tough, you know, when you have the truck and you're getting loose off of a turn, especially off of 2. You try to save it, and then when you can't, you know, you're spinning and you're trying to get the truck righted as soon as you can. So hopefully you can get back on the racetrack there, Terry. And you know, those things happen. Nobody intends to do that, but sometimes you just panic a little bit.
You know, fans at home, you can't see this. I'll go off the script for a second. Every time he talks in our Discord chat here, his fish that he has as his background talks with him.
Oh, you're talking about me, aren't you?
I am talking about you, the fish man himself.
Oh, I guess we're going way behind the scenes here. Yeah, but yeah, that's the incredible work of
I would think that our producer, I don't know if that's
yeah. Oh, okay.
He'll show it. There we go. He'll pull it for us
too. Yeah, that's amazing.
So that picture in picture, they can see it.
Yeah, you can see when I speak. Yeah, there you go. You can see when it speaks the actual fish talks as well. I thought it was a good touch.
Yeah, so it's a very good touch, and hopefully Zach comes in my ear and tells me his picture of it. It's a cartoon of some sort. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. It's just a very interesting trio, but we'll take you behind the scenes. You know, the fourth wall can be broken here on iRacing. The pace truck is going to go behind a wall. We're breaking walls. He's going behind one. In the 23 of Stephen Thomas takes the outside. He's green flag racing again.
We'll see what Brady LaBeouf can do here as we go into turn number 1. They're able to make the bottom line stick there with Lothian so far, and he's got grip there with those fresh tires, and he's going to go all the way down to the bottom there, trying to see what he can do here heading into turn number 3.
Well, Lothian got a very good jump right there. The 29 of Bradley loses a couple spots on pit road, and that puts Blake Lothian up to P2. That puts Brady LaBeouf up to P3. And the guy that I thought potentially had the opportunity to win this race if we stayed caution-free was LaBeouf, but now he has to work through fresher tires are going to be behind him. But Radioactive Tree said the fish was suspicious. So, you know, that fish thing that you got working down there, we'll have a little bit more fun with that.
It takes a lot of effort to pull off a gif like this, and now I can't stop watching it whenever I start talking because the production fee's right above it. But anyways, that's what happens when you have a lot of cautions in one race, is the boost starts to get a little bit delirious.
I think we started that way. We just worked ourselves into it even harder as the battle for the lead has ensued, and Blake Lothian leads for the first time here this afternoon. They go side by side into turn one. Give the 23 of Thomas to the outside, LaBeouf to the bottom. He's going to work his way potentially here to P number 2 as he goes side by side with Thomas. But Blake Lothian, Mr. Where did he come from? We hadn't talked about him much all night long, and he finds himself the race leader. And hey, who's that Rivera guy that went off strategy and finds himself P3?
Yeah, and it looks like they're actually the 23 of Thomas may be in the wall a little bit as well, so that's going to help the 20 of Rivera take away the third spot there from Stephen Thomas and continue to chip away here at the 9 of Brady LaBeouf. But you kind of see that right now, that LaBeouf wants that bottom side, but anytime he goes down to that bottom, he catches the dirty air from Lothian, and that kind of upsets the handling of his truck a little bit. So now he's looking to the high side, trying to find some grip there.
Well, I want to look at the interesting nature of this top three. You look at +7, +12, +22 for Jose Luis Rivera, who just a little while ago, as the 23 does tap the wall just a tad bit, kind of rides it for a second. Just a little while ago, we were talking about the 20 getting an EOL for, you know, getting into the back bumper of somebody and spinning them around. Now he finds himself P3, the highest running driver with fresh tires. The second highest driver with fresh tires is the 29 of Keith Bradley, who, by the way, was leading at the time of the caution, came down pit lane because he saw how fast LaBeouf was running there. He's all over the back bumper of the 20. He's going to try to work to the outside here in turns 1 and 2. Is not going to be able to get to the outside. And now here comes Ted Wade and Tyler Peacock working their way into this battle. And it's a four-way fight for the P3 position.
Well, we mentioned from the drop of the hat how important tires were going to be, and we knew that fresh tires were definitely going to be an advantage around this really abrasive race surface we have here at Rockingham, but it was going to be how you manage the 4 sets you had at your disposal right now. So a lot of these drivers chipping in the sets early. You see the short-term benefits paying off right now, and the track position may be enough, but do you want to have a set of fresh tires, maybe if you have that green-white checkered finish, or just maybe if you have a late caution here, maybe with about 10-15 laps to go, Terry?
That's kind of a great question. Another great question that's going to be asked here very soon is, do you want to build a snowman, right? Because we're coming up near the Christmas season. We'll get past Halloween and the spooky stuff that we'll see across with the ghost and the goblins. But it's almost snow time. It's almost Santa season. As you see Tyler Peacock, he made his way around the 20 of Rivera. Here comes Ted Wade, Cinnamon, and there's a common theme in this field where it's been a lot of ghosts and goblins into the Halloween season, as everybody seems to have damage.
Yeah, and really the only truck so far that I don't see any damage on right now is the 9 of LaBeouf, and he continues to reel in our leader, Blake Lothian, in the 43. You see that the pretty clean truck of Keith Bradley there, and a little bit farther back even with Peacock. But Peacock, we know, has had an incident as well, getting into the inside wall, and Ted Wade, of course, trying to avoid that one incident earlier when the lap car spun in front of him, also has that front right end damage. So you mentioned it, nobody really here, Terry, that has any damage. Maybe everybody look for new front clips for Christmas from Santa.
Yeah, all I want for Christmas is a clean truck. And I look at the lap times the last time by. Fastest truck in the field, but not by much. Only by 2/1000ths of a second was Keith Bradley. They come across the line that time. And, well, looky, a 1/10 of a second faster than Blake Lothian was Brady LaBeouf, and he's clicked it in. He's going to make a run for it. It's a half a car length. Now there's no car lengths. He's got a bumper inside that tailgate. He comes off the exit of 4, and it was almost a drag race to the line right there. He's going to put it in there. Can Brady LaBeouf make it stick if he goes for the slider?
Well, and Lothian is doing a really good job right now too, just defending LaBeouf and just taking away whatever line the 9 truck is trying to run right now, and really just stopping him from getting any kind of clean air. And that's the difference between the two of them right now as they head back towards the stripe here with 47 laps to go. As you see, LaBeouf will get a huge run on the outside, and I think Lothian decided to finally have enough of him having LaBeouf in his mirror there and just let him go, Terry.
Yeah, he let him go. I think he also realized that Keith Bradley was starting to catch him. It was a 24.8 that time for the 29 machine. He is by far the fastest driver on this racetrack at the moment. So we'll see what happens when he crosses the line. You see the ticker right there on the Racecraft TV pylon. It's ticking down 6 tenths, 5 tenths, back to 6 as they go into the corner. He's going to have to find a way to get around Lothian if he wants to win this race and challenge LaBeouf, who's leading his first laps of this event. And it has been far from what we thought. We thought it was a Wade show as there's a driver stopped down there on the bottom of the racetrack. We'll see. That should not bring out the caution as he is below the racing surface, but we thought this was the Ted Wade show. It then turned into the 23 show. Then it turned into the Bradley show. Now it's the LaBeouf show. It's the crossover job right here. Lothian goes back to the bottom.
Well, and it goes to show to you just how much parity there is in this series, Terry, when Ted Wade's not a factor. And that's not to say that Ted Wade's sandbagging or anything like that, but just the dominance he brings each and every week. And even with all the trouble that he's had so far, you find himself right now in 5th place. So really not a bad run from the 5 camp altogether, all things considered. And it is exciting to watch, though, once something happens to the 2 truck, just how much everybody else is just battling, how many leaders we have. And you kind of mentioned it. It's been anybody's race since that unfortunate incident to the 2 truck.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers have had an opportunity to get up here, lead some laps, win this race. Barry Kistler out there in the chat says he loves cornflakes. Well, I'm a cornflake guy myself. I pride myself on that. It's Wade gets around Lothian right there. Peacock's going to work his way into that 4th place position, getting around there as well. We'll see what Cinnamon and Lumpkin does. It's now, well, Lothian doesn't want to give it up too easy. The 43 stays on the outside, but that time the 81 of Peacock works his way all the way up the racetrack to the wall. And first and second is 2/10 of a second. And then you go back a second and a half to find this cluster of cars. And not a cluster of cornflakes. That actually sounds good right now. I could go for a peanut butter cornflake ball or something. But this continues. It's anybody's ball game. And right now, the 9 of the 29 are putting on a show. Well, so is Cinnamon. So is Lothian. So is the 5. So is the 82. They're all here as the battle for the lead's there.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I'm hungry for some cornflakes. So maybe if we can get some cornflakes up to the booth. That would be great right now. But yeah, LaBeouf is all over the back bumper of Bradley right now, and we've seen this before. Bradley just having the fight off LaBeouf. It's something that's happened all season long, whether it be for the lead or positions up in the top 5 and the top 10. And these 2 drivers, no strangers to battling each other, and they're doing it for the lead with 39 laps to go here when they come to the stripe.
You think we could bother Josh Lee, the fearless guy here at Racecraft, to maybe send us some cornflakes? I could go for a bowl of cereal. Not too sure about anybody else. Maybe our producer Zach would want some too. But Bradley working his way through the lap traffic that's here. A lot of these drivers, kind of the used car lot portion of this race. You see a lot of drivers on your timing score. 15 drivers on the lead lap here this afternoon. Morales on down. 1 lap, 2 laps, multiple laps are on pit lane or out of this race. As you see here, you continue to have this battle. Lumpkin trying to get around some of these drivers. You see Lothian starting to fall back even more. Abbott's going to work his way up past him. The 43's falling like a leaf on a tree.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see green flag pit stops start here, Terry, because Kilgore just drove the pit road, and it looks like Nadu and a couple other drivers right now are making the early entrance on the pit road as well. So some of the back of the pack drivers starting to make their way to pit road. We'll see who the first of our leaders is that makes their way down.
I would kind of imagine some of these drivers who came in on lap 136, lap 123, what their strategy is going to go across the board. John H. says, nice run. Abbott, who's up to the 8th place position. Anybody's ball game still. We've seen it across the board as Ted Wade works his way back to second. LaBeouf got kind of caught up in some of that lap traffic melee that happened there where they caught people at the wrong time, and then you got to catch this pack at the right time because there's 5 drivers, now 4 drivers under a blanket here around this very difficult racetrack where this is the longest green flag run we've seen all night, Ian.
Yeah, and if this pack stays together, it's going to look like a whole group at Talladega going down the pit road right now. And this is not an easy pit road to get down and get off of. There's a lot of banking transition down to the flat, and then you have to get really, really far to the left to get all the way down to, I think, 40 miles an hour for your pit road speed. So very challenging pit road to get onto, especially from pace. And if you're Bradley up there and you're the leader, you got to think you got to get on the pit road as fast as you possibly can and slow down the pit road speed right before that line, because Ted Wade, you can lose a lot of time to him right there.
Yeah, you got to really be aggressive to get on pit lane here, and you want to talk aggressive. A lot of these drivers in this pack, you look at Cinnamon right here, he's doing a great job trying to put the pressure on Peacock. They're trying to catch LaBeouf. They're trying to catch Lumpkin. Every driver looking for a position here with 33 laps to go. And oh yeah, by the way, there's a thing called pit stops that have to come into this at some point in time as well. So this race is far from over. Anything could happen here in the NASRA Triple M Pull-In Truck Series. It's anybody's guess who's going to win this. You're still sticking with the 2, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still sticking with Ted Wade. He finds himself in the 2nd position right now. They got one more green flag pit stop, and I know he's skilled getting on and off of pit road, so we'll see what can happen here. It's a teammate battle here, 1st and 2nd position, but you know Keith Bradley is going to want to stick on to this lead and try to win this race and become the only driver other than Ted Wade so far this season to win multiple races. That would be a huge feather in your cap to have heading into Michigan when the playoffs start.
Well, I'll do this. I'll test our fans out there watching on YouTube. Drop a car number or a truck number. Tell us who you think is going to win this race with 31 laps to go. Pit stops are on the horizon for these lead lap trucks if they decide to come down. You see side-by-side battle in here between the 87 of Lumpkin and the 9 of LaBeouf, who LaBeouf is... his older tires is starting to play dividends here. They're starting to fall off to these drivers that pitted on lap 136. This is still the opportunity of anybody's game. And, well, I think Raul Mesa said it best, is that a caution could shake that up. But or will it go green to the end? Ian, I'll leave that to you. Caution flag before 29 laps are up, or do we stay green for 29 of them?
Oh, just as you say it there's one driver spinning on the backstretch, and you can see it on this shot right here. And that might bring our caution out. That's the 94 truck. And I think you spoke it into existence possibly, Terry. He is down below the racing line, so if he can get turned around, we may stay green here, but this could be bringing out the caution that we talked about.
This could potentially. We'll see what they do as he stops on the racetrack and then he decides to hit the tow button. But you look right here at the stints that we have. You see 36, LaBeouf at 49, 36 all the way down till we get to Blake Lothian. Is now, I believe that's another truck that had potentially spun there off the back straightaway. That's the 3 of Cinnamon. He goes around totally opposite to the incident that we had just seen. So add that to the Rolodex of things that we've seen, and there's a couple people out there thinking that Ted Wade's still going to win this race.
A lot of people are having issues off of turn 2 right now, especially with grip, and it seems like these leaders are all challenging each other right now, Terry, to see who's going to stay out the longest on this set of tires and carry the stint all the way to the end. And yeah, it is a terrifying decision. If you pit right now and that yellow comes out, you find yourself trapped 1 lap down. That kind of ends your race right now. So who is going to be the first one of our leaders that comes down pit road and makes their final pit stop?
I think that's going to be the magic question that's going to be answered only if you stay tuned in, and you'll get to see what we would potentially see. You got John H. would say he goes for the 2, but it would be nice to see Abbott get the win. So you got an 82 fan out there cheering for the man that sits in P6 at the moment. So maybe we see Brian Abbott get this win here this afternoon. Maybe we see somebody say, you know what, I don't want to come down pit road. I want to see you come use your tires up around here at this mile racetrack to come catch me again, because a 1 lap advantage is what you would have as if you're anybody back here, maybe outside this top, I would say top 4. You're gonna if you're gonna pit, you might want to do it now, because you're almost guaranteed to lose 2 laps here at this sequence.
Well, that would be huge if you were Abbott to win right now. You find yourself 35 points go to the cut line for the playoffs, but just having a win now, you would have to be able to breathe easy heading all the way into Michigan and really focus on your playoff run here for the remainder of this season. So he finds himself in a good spot right now. I think maybe doesn't have quite the pace that Ted Wade and Keith Bradley have right now, be able to finish it out in victory lane, but crazier things have happened, and we are at Rockingham here. We saw the earlier incidents to Ted Wade, Keith Bradley, a lot of our drivers so far. We have, let me see here, right now it looks like at least 10 drivers off the racetrack right now, Terry, just aren't able to DNF this, or I'm sorry, able to finish, so they'll DNF this race. So been a really tough driver here for this. A lot of these drivers here at Rockingham, not a place that's easy to get a finish at.
Yeah, a ton of drivers off the pace and off the track, not finishing this evening. You look back there, 31st is Doucette, Hess, McKinnon. Those drivers were in contention at one point in time in our top 5, potentially racing for a win before, you know, the melee ensued and everybody starts going around and the big one happened. You see the 82 of Abbott. He's going to get around LaBeouf right here, so move him up to P4. Maybe if you were the 82, were you just saving something, going, hey, I don't need to push it too hard. I'll let my tires speak for themselves 40 laps later than everybody else.
I think you just have some drivers as well that are better at saving tires than others. I kind of figured that the longer this run goes, green flag, the more that factors into Ted Wade's hands. I think he's really good at saving tires, especially at these difficult tracks here where it's so tough to save your Goodyear tires. So maybe Abbott, just another one of those drivers that has the natural gift that you and I don't have, Terry, available saving tires over a long green flag run.
Yeah, I burn those things up like crazy. I could imagine what I would do here at Rockingham in the trucks on a fixed setup, mind you. And most people who are familiar with the iRacing platform is most people go to the fixed races if you want to learn how to conserve your tires. And people like me who just want raw speed 24/7, I'm going to take my butt to the opens ones where I have an opportunity to win. About 20% of the times I enter in a race, I have an opportunity. You see a driver, Stephen Thomas, the 23, is going to come down pit road here. That's going to move him outside of that top 10 position. And who's the next domino to fall? Do you see Bradley potentially come down first, or is he going to wait on Lumpkin, Wade, Abbott, LaBeouf, one of those drivers to come down first?
I think if you're the leader, you got to stretch it as long as you can possibly go. I think if you're someone farther back in the pack, I think maybe you try to pit now and get some quick lap times here, because you're running out of time. And the longer this goes and the longer the leader waits to pit, the more that's in their advantage, because it kind of takes away from the time delta that you can possibly gain or lose in the limited amount of laps that you have left to complete here, Terry. So if you're someone that finds yourself maybe around 15th position, go ahead and pit now and try to get those fresh tires on there for the rest of the race, but it's a tough call.
Well, now with Wigginton being in the 11th place position, that puts 10 drivers on the lead lap. Is now Bradley's going to put Cantwell a lap down, and he's going to do this on the racetrack itself. So no pit stop for the 8 puts him 1 lap to the negative on the field. So Kyle Hess says he pretty much can make it to the end, but do you want to make it on tires? That could be the question here. Is his tires going to be the factor? And 14 laps to go, well, now 13 and a half. Do we stay green to the end?
No, I don't think so. If you can make it on fuel, I don't think you have to worry about tires at this point, especially if we continue to go green. If we see a caution come out, maybe that's a different story. But I think if you're good to go on fuel here, you don't have to worry about tires.
Well, Kyle House is calling 29 to the win. I'll take a guy who was out there racing's opinion more than I would take my own. I personally think that we're going to see a yellow flag at some point in time. You have drivers on new tires battling drivers on old tires. That tends to build a bit of an issue, as he says there's 80 laps a tank. So you see right here, the 23 gets to the back bumper of Cantwell. Very close to making contact right there, but that's the difference of fresh tires going into the corner and what a gap down the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's always going to be the closing rate that causes problems, right, Terry? And so especially that you mentioned it, we have drivers on new tires, we have drivers on old tires here with 12 laps to go. We're kind of stretched out, so I don't think you're going to be seeing a lot of aggressive moves here for position, but guys are going to be trying to get all they can here as we come to 10 laps to go this time by. So you really got to be aware of that.
Yeah, 10 laps to go when the 29 of Keith Bradley crosses the start stripe here, and it has now strung out. It became more of an opposite race than what we thought it was going to be. A big string of cautions in stage 1, a big string of cautions in stage 2. A melee wreck happens there at the beginning of stage 3, and now it's single file, and 9 drivers make the lead lap happen here at Rockingham.
I think something to pay attention to for these drivers that are still on these old tires, Terry, is we've seen these drivers having issues off of turn 2 and the exit of turn 4 as well. So could still be some issues to watch out there for as well. You're not quite home yet, but this has been a long race for these drivers. It's been a mentally taxing race as well. A lot of stopping and starting and different stretches to it as well. And long green flag runs, sporadic runs with a lot of restarts. So if you're one of these drivers with 8 laps to go, you're tired behind the wheel and you want to get this race done, and nobody wants the race done faster than Keith Bradley right now sitting in the catbird seat.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to see a restart, especially if you're Keith Bradley. I'm sure Ted Wade would love an opportunity to go up here, but I also think that maybe he's content with his teammate right there. He's shown that even with damage, he has a very solid second place truck here this afternoon. But a big shout to a lot of these drivers. I mean, you've got a lot of drivers up here in this top 10. Well, now top 9 that's on the lead lap that has made some very, very valuable spots up. You look at Huck Wigington, for instance, in the 00. He's back there in 11th. I believe he is 1 lap down. He's up 23 positions. I mean, still, you might be a lap down, but you've driven through this field with damage.
Yeah, and if you're able to hang on there, a really good run from the rookie so far, and just trying to hang on for these final 6 laps here from Rockingham. And I think all these drivers here just are ready to see a checkered flag. But if you're the 29 machine of Keith Bradley, that camp over there, you're getting hot at the right time. You're getting close to the end of these playoffs here, and you've got 2 wins potentially underneath your belt here. The only driver that's going to have 2 wins in the season besides Ted Wade. That's big for Keith Bradley.
And if you're noticing it just like we did, the 17th and 18th place driver of Richards and Rivera are out of this race. So there's potentially a couple spots for Mahada and Haney to gain up here and get a little bit extra at the end of this race. Maybe a gifted position if you're those drivers. We look right here at Mahada in this wonderful green truck. Maybe an opportunity, a gift handed out at the end of this race.
Yeah, you know, we've seen a lot of drivers get into the wall, so those incident points are going to creep up on you. And yeah, a few drivers, I think, starting to hit our incident limit here and get disqualified as we come to 3 laps to go here for Keith Bradley.
Yeah, we'll cross the start stripe. We'll put 2 fingers in the air for 2 laps to go. The 29 with a commanding lead. It's 4.5 seconds over Ted Wade, the guy who dominated stage 1. Dominated stage 2, had the issue at the end of stage number 2 that took him out of contention. We'll come to the white flag, and it's 1 lap to go here. I would say brought to you by Over the Top Designs, as it is their race. White flag comes out. The 29's got to make it one more time around. He'll get around the 6 to put him another lap down, but he's not going to push it. Why do it? Down the backstretch for the final time here at Thunder Valley, into turns 3 and 4, and welcome to 2 for 2 for Keith Bradley as he wins the Over the Top Designs 200 at Rockingham.
We mentioned it, that 29 camp is getting hot at the right time here. Finds himself with back-to-back wins heading into our final 2 races now of the regular season, and he's going to be another truck to watch out for, along with his teammate Ted Wade, as we go down into the further stretch of this season. And you see his teammate there, Ted Wade, will pass him on the outside, and it was Ted Wade's race to lose, and he did kind of end up losing it there at the end.
Yeah, lost it at the wrong time right there, coming at the end of stage 2. Just catches the wall at the wrong time, catches an incident with the 0.5 going around, but back-to-back wins for the 29 of Keith Bradley. This has to feel good if you're the 29 camp, because you're setting yourself up for a good playoff run, and like you talked about, first multi-time winner this season that's not Ted Wade. Not too shabby for the 29 as he's going to burn it down here on the front stretch.
And we go to another 1.5 mile track next week as well, so not quite as similar as Rockingham, but Charlotte, another place for the 29 to maybe make another strike here, maybe get a win in the win column here, and maybe burn it down again, go to victory lane again, and put even more pressure on Ted Wade.
Well, it's starting to get hot when you need to get hot, and that's what Keith Bradley has done. Is here in just a second, we'll look at our top to bottom rundown. Is right here. You take a look at the full results. Keith Bradley taking home the win. The Indiana native comes home with back-to-back wins. P2 Ted Wade, the stage 1 and stage 2 winner. Justin Lumpkins in P3. Brian Abbott with a great finish down a Georgia guy, 8 seconds behind the leader in P4. Brady LaBeouf in 5th, and Jacob Klickenhart comes home P6. Taylor Peacock P7. Blake Lothian, Trey Pitts, and Adam Cantwell rounds out your top 10, Ian.
And Huck Wigginton, the rookie, comes home in P11. Your first truck 1 lap down, or I'm sorry, your second truck 1 lap down. The first truck 1 lap down was Adam Cantwell. Chris Cinnamon, Stephen Thomas also getting involved in incidents early. Derek Kilgore, the 11 truck, comes home in 14th. The 93 Tim Hammond, 15th. Jason Morales, Jose Luis Rivera, Robert Richards in the 48 gets caught up in a couple of incidents. He finds himself coming home 18th. The 7 of Clint Moda comes home in 19th, and the 20 or 55 of James Haney will round out your top 20. Also another Georgia boy there, Terry.
Well, it's Clinkart, my fault. Names are not my strong suit. Homeschooled Alabama guy. Eric Zimmerman comes home 21st. James D. Morris 22nd. Christopher Blanchard 23rd. Stephen Gregory. Brandon Bullock, Jerry Nadeau, Cody Knott, Hunter Parsons, Tyler Dittmer, and Devin Painter rounds out your top 30, and we'll go to the rest of the car. Used car lot back here, 31st on back with Kyle Hess, Joey Doucette, Michael McKinnon, Adam Newbert, Zach Hartwick, Keith Haney, and TJ Moore rounds out your 37 truck field here this afternoon. And, well, this is your show, Ian. Why not get the winner? You take Keith Bradley here, your race winner at Rockingham.
Well, Keith, you were able to hang on there through that final stretch, able to stretch out those tires and come away home with a victory here. But you had to rely on a little bit of luck, some incident there from your teammate, Ted Wade. What did you see from your perspective?
It just looked like he got into the wall, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't really see it to make a call on it, but it looked like he got into the wall a little bit.
Well, able to wrap it down here and get a win here at Rockingham. 2 for 2. You got Charlotte heading into the playoffs. how do you feel being the only multi-race winner besides Ted Wade heading into an important race there before the playoffs start?
Honestly, I feel pretty good. That's one of my stronger tracks. I think I won there 2 or 3 seasons ago. We usually have pretty good speed at 1.5 miles, so I think that'll play into our lap there, and hopefully we can have some good luck.
Well, a good run for you tonight, Keith. You're good enough to come home in victory lane. Anybody you want to shout out who helps you get it done out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, I want to thank Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling, Over the Top Designs, John Hedrick over at Upfront Motorsports, all my teammates, Ted Wade, Chris Cinnamon, Jason Morales, and all them guys. And then everybody from NASRA, Brady, Michael McKinnon, for putting all this together and giving us a place to run. And you guys, most importantly, for broadcasting it.
Well, we appreciate you coming and taking some time up here in the Racecraft TV booth with us. Keith, go ahead and celebrate with your team. And we'll actually have your teammate here in a little bit here with standing by with Terry Radford. It's Ted Wade, your second place finisher tonight here from Rockingham.
Well, Ted Wade, stage 1, stage 2 winner, obviously coming to the end of stage 2. Caught the wall a tad bit there, but you fought back for P2. How was the cornflake mobile?
Oh, it was great tonight, man. Felt like it was on rails there at the beginning. Got into the wall there at the end of that one stage. I was battling, I think it was Stephen Thomas pretty hard, and the lap traffic, it was just pretty hard to navigate here. There's not a lot of room to go.
Well, you build a little bit more momentum. Obviously, you thought you had this win in the bag, but your teammate getting it done in Keith Bradley. Is that a driver you have to circle going into the playoffs as somebody you're really going to have to fight to win this championship?
Oh, 100%, man. I'd say probably the top 10 guys, top 12 guys we got over there are all pretty fast. Anybody could really win any week. It just depends if your cards fall right.
Well, I say congratulations on your P2 finish. And who are your sponsors out there that put this truck on the track?
Oh, yeah, man. I'd like to give a huge shout out to John Hedrick at Over the Top Designs, Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling, Bruzy Racewear, everybody over at NASRA, you guys here at Racecraft TV, Triple M Pulling. It's been a pretty good season.
Well, Ted Wade, congratulations on P2. And Ian, you're standing by with P3 here tonight, the 87 Ford of Justin Lumpkins.
Well, a good run for you, Justin, able to come home P3 tonight, and really just another solid run here this season. You got the one win heading into the playoffs. How does this P3 from Rockingham make you feel?
I feel good about it, man. I knew I was okay here, but I didn't expect just like Hickory, I come out with P4 there. I just wanted to take care of the truck here and do the same, have a good finish and keep racking up the points.
Well, you have Keith Bradley here. He wins, being the only other driver this season besides Ted Wade to get another win under their belt. What does that say for you as we head into Charlotte next week? Are you anxious? Are you looking for another win? Or are you just trying to ride into the playoffs with some consistency?
Oh, we're always looking for the next win. I love Charlotte. We're pretty fast there. We'll see how we do. It's just going to be another thing of taking care of the truck, hitting my marks, and putting down the laps I know I can hit there.
Well, it's your time, Justin. Go ahead. Thank the sponsors. Who gets it done for you out there on the racetrack?
Yes, sir, man. As always, God, for allowing us to do this. Darren's Nail Gun Repair, Millie's Landing for sponsoring me this year in NASRA. I appreciate them coming down and sponsoring the truck. All my guys at Sickwit Motorsports. Jeff Sickles, he couldn't be here tonight. Adam Newbert, he got into some trouble. Blake Lothian, he had a good race until he didn't have the tires. But VFW, Tacoma, Georgia, A's Lawn and Landscaping, Sim Racer Hub, Brady and Mike McKinnon, Brady LaBeouf, the guys at NASRA, and then Buck Kicker and you guys here at Racecraft. Y'all do a good job.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us, Justin, and go ahead and celebrate that P3 with your team, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir.
And that's about all we have here tonight for interviews, Terry. Really a exciting race from Rockingham, and excited to go to Charlotte. I don't know about you next week.
Yeah, very excited. Regular season finale. And can't forget to mention that Huck Wigington was your NASRA 360 Hard Charger Award winner here tonight, plus 23 positions to the P11 spot here. But yeah, catch it next week. It's Friday night, October 21st, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Racecraft TV. But that's going to do it from here at Rockingham tonight for Ian Fisher, Zach Johnson, Joshua Lee, Josh Edmington, and all of the wonderful staff here at Racecraft TV. I'm Terry Radford, the fill-in guy here at this wonderful channel. We'll see you next Friday night and all of the other stuff that happens here on Racecraft TV throughout the week. Have a good night and have a good weekend.